stand up against the likes of Wallfall and others tonight? That's to be answered.
Ryan Mira with his 23rd start of the season, 9 shutouts, only 14 goals against, a less than 1 goal a game average for a phenomenal season for the young goalkeeper out of Fordham University. Oak Street Brigade is here. The South Ward is here. We are ready to go in this Eastern Conference semifinals of the USL playoffs. The regular season champion New York Red Bulls 2 hosting the 2015 USL Cup champions Rochester Rhinos. New York Red Bull 2 trying to make history and knock off Rochester for the first time ever. And you couldn't have asked for a better matchup. And Andrew, we think there's going to be some fireworks. It's going to be a grinded out game, but it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Certainly. Physicality will not be lacking in this match, both from the style of play from the Red Bulls as well as, I think there you see it, the intention on Rochester's side to chop the game up a little bit. No reason to let Red Bulls 2 get into a rhythm. No reason to let them get flowing and confident on the ball. A foul in a non-dangerous area all day long for the beginning of play for Rochester.
Luis Guardia is going to be the man in the middle that has to deal with all of that. Of course, earlier this season, we experimented with video assistant refereeing here at Red Bull Arena. No VAR this evening as Aaron Long turns that one over dangerously. Taragu with the interception. Adams now in a battle with Forbes, and Adams able to win the free kick. Canardo Forbes, 27-year-old Jamaican, has been a part of this Rochester team now for a couple of years, was out on the wing last year, and Coach Lilly's moved him infield this year to get him more on the ball. So he wears the captain's armband sitting in that central midfield. The gem with the layoff to an offside teammate, and it'll roll out for a throw-in. We mentioned the veteran presence throughout this Rochester team, but a young back line. 4 of the 5 members of that back line, basically professional soccer rookies. Tomas Gomez with San Jose last year, but not getting any playing time as their third-string goalkeeper. And Aaron Long now in a foot race.
And you can see Rochester on that second ball immediately. They have numbers around the ball, and they win it, and they go direct down the field. And now they're where they want to be. They're in a situation that'll turn into a little bit of a set piece for them. Most likely they'll get the big boys up there and get perhaps a long throw in or set up for a cross. But a flat 4-4-2 from them. We thought it might be a diamond, not so in this match.
Etienne forces the first turnover, but still alive now. Valesky plays it down the line, and it's cleared away by New York. Noah Powder, New York Red Bull 2 player, but also New York Red Bull Academy player still here on loan. And an injury down there. It looks like Apostolopoulos going down. Not a lot of contact there. You don't like to see that. Vasily Apostolopoulos out of Greece. The veteran presence on this back line. His second year with the team. But at 28 years old, he's the veteran of that back line of this team, really. Was with Rochester for the first time last year. He scored the game-winning goal versus Louisville in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Really the last player Coach Lilly would like to see go down early on.
Certainly don't want to change in the back this early on. It looked like he might have gotten stepped on as both those players, he and Brandon Allen, went up for a challenge. That's going to be a battle you need to watch all night long. Brandon Allen basically 1v2 back there. Yep, there you see, 2 feet right on the foot. That's a tough challenge to take early on for the central defender.
Apostolopoulos back up, ready to go. Allen turning the ball back over with a little bit of sportsmanship. Joe Farrell and Apostolopoulos establishing themselves early on in this season as the pairing at center back with Grant Van de Castile, the championship-winning center back, leaving after last season. James knocking that pass out for a New York throw-in. Took New York Red Bulls 2 over 30 minutes to get the opening goal against Orlando in their last game. They would love to get started just a little bit quicker here today as that one bounces wide. You mentioned Etienne Jr. supposed to go to Haiti with Hurricane Matthew coming through. That game's been delayed, so he will be flying out later this weekend to join Haiti for their Caribbean Cup qualifiers. It'll be his first team international debut. He's played for Haiti's youth teams in qualifying. Looking to stamp his name to the Haitian roster. The Gem able to keep it alive for New York. The low drops it back. Now Adams with time and space.
And that's maybe where Wolniak would want a little bit sharper passing there. Those are the opportunities that you can take advantage of against this Rhinos team. You saw them get pushed out wide, and all of a sudden they're back. These center backs for Red Bulls too, they're going to be playing with their backs to the opposing goal a lot of this game, running backwards toward their own goal. The direct play is going to have to be something they're going to have to deal with, because when Rochester do win the ball, they're going to look immediately for Valesky up top.
Long ball from Carroll. A little bit of ping pong between these two teams as they both look to settle in. I mentioned an early goal last week. Wall fall with a direct free kick goal in the 7th minute to give Rochester a lead versus Charlotte. A dream start for them to their playoff run. Smear wearing the captain's armband once again for this team. Metzger in a battle in midfield. He's able to win it. Puts it into the path of Etienne Jr. Gomez is out. Etienne Jr. drops it back. Powder's shot on the ground is blocked and cleared away by Rochester.
But better interchange there, finding the pass. If only he could get his feet right before that. Perhaps didn't see the goalkeeper coming out, Tomas Gomez. Maybe a little unwise to come out in that position. A little chip ball with the left foot, or maybe a first-time finish could have beat him there. But as it stands, Rochester able to clear the danger.
Gomez in a goalkeeper battle for most of the early part of the year with Adam Grinwis. Grinwis getting 13 starts on the year. Gomez now, this is 18th start. Grinwis picked up an injury midway through the season, and Gomez was able to establish themselves. But they were both trying to replace Brandon Miller, who won goalkeeper of the year last year. Gomez ended up with the USL Golden Gloves this year. 7 shutouts, 780 save percentage, and he has been everything that Coach Lilly could have asked for, trying to replace a goalkeeper of the year in Miller.
Certainly says something about their backline and organization, doesn't it, that they can switch goalkeepers and still have so much success. Of course, Gomez, plenty familiar with the forward he's facing in Brandon Allen. Both those players going to Georgetown. So much success for them, and a number of Red Bulls MLS players also on that squad as well.
So it looks like a throw-in, or a kick now in favor of Rochester. So this is a great opportunity for, as you said it, to get those big bodies forward. Wallfall getting into the box, as well as Joe Farrell, the former LaSalle player, who has a couple goals so far this season. It'll be Canardo Forbes with the service. Forbes 4 assists so far this season, drilled in at the near post, and Adams heads it away. Forbes will leave it now for James to take it. Ryan James, one of the few Canadian players on this roster. Coach Lilly dipping into those options, a number of Canadian players coming out of college that he's been able to pick up.
Certainly Coach Lilly also paying attention to the MLS Super Draft. A number of players on this squad, ones that were drafted in the later rounds and then either not signed or chose to start their career in USL. A nice little scouting shortcut for folks to look at this roster and see where these players came from.
Yeah, Christian Valesky, MLS Combine MVP, drafted by Portland Timbers, choosing to come here instead to Rochester, winning a title last year and having another great season this year. Gila Vogie, he pushes it wide. Tergu with the quick pass to Forbes. Forbes a little bit of space down the wing. Cuts it back, looking for the feet of Tergu. He does get the cross away, and Carroll has to put it out for a corner kick. So strong attacking play here in the opening 10 minutes for Rochester. Another set-piece opportunity for them.
A nice spell of possession for Rochester, pushing into the dangerous areas they want to be in, and this is a fine result for them. No worries, that was a dangerous ball into the box, cleared away nicely by Red Bulls too, but now it's all about matchups and keep a close eye on the center of the box there where they're massing up.
Apostolopoulos right there in front of the goalkeeper, low, hard driven. It gets knocked back Perfectly organized play. New York now scrambling to try and get it away. They can. Ryan James and Etienne meet. James had to win that. Last man back. Now Adams pushes it forward. Play on, says our head referee Luis Guardia. And finally knocked away, it looks like there by Gila Vogi. And you mentioned how structured Rochester would be. New York maybe a few chances to break when defending an own set piece, and they tried one there, and fortunately for Rochester, they were able to get back.
Certainly a smart ball from Tyler Adams into space. Just not quite in a position where Bezecourt could really take advantage of the space given to him, but great recovery on the flip side from the Rochester Rhinos. But you saw immediately when that ball goes out of bounds, it's a flat 4-4-2. They get right back in that shape from the get-go. They know what this Red Bulls team wants to do, and I think they're going to be happy to concede possession to them, especially to those center backs and on the back line. They're just waiting for an error, waiting for an opportunity to go over the top. If they get it, watch out if they're cutting edge in the box.
Apostolopoulos putting Tomas Gomez under a little bit of unnecessary pressure back there as James now comes forward. He slips this pass in. Rochester once again working around the New York box. Don't forget to visit uslsoccer.com for full coverage of the 2016 USL Cup playoffs, including feature stories, video highlights, stats, and much more. That's at uslsoccer.com. I mentioned this is the start of this round of the playoffs. 3 more games to come over the course of the next 2 days. As James slips this pass in. New York Red Bulls, too, on their back, though, defending more than we've seen them so far this season. We asked the question if Rochester would try and come out aggressive like they did against Charlotte. Not to the same level, of course, on the road, but they have shown a willingness to push forward here in the opening 10 minutes.
Yeah, they certainly have, and it goes back to being direct. If they can be direct and they can bypass the Red Bulls' pressure, you really take a large part of that chance creation away from Red Bulls, too. They want to find you in possession. They want to put you under pressure on that back line. They want to force mistakes, and that really has led to a ton of success this year. 61 goals. Here's another play for them. Great defensive work there by Noah Powder.
James with the cross, Powder with the block, and it'll go out for another set-piece opportunity for this Rochester team. This is exactly what they wanted in this game, and they've gotten it early on. Canardo Forbes coming over to take it once again. You have Apostolopoulos and Farrell up in the box. Wallfall, Valesky, and Dos Santos. Dos Santos coming in at 6'5". Well, a lot of danger in the box right now for New York. The crowd up behind the goal, cheering their side on defensively, and it'll be Forbes with the cross. Adams able to win the initial header. Etienne pushing it back along to try and get it away from his box. Perfect header back in for Forbes. Forbes tries to clip it to that near post, and it'll roll out for a New York goal kick.
Really relying on Forbes to be the string puller right now in the final third. You can see his teammates trying to find his feet when they do have possessions in those areas. He's the final ball, so to speak, but they're really trying to slip it in. I would have thought they would go in the air a little bit more, perhaps to Valesky, or force the Red Bulls center backs to make some plays on the balls across the box. Not quite in those positions yet, but have to be happy with their performance so far. John Wolniak's going to be looking at this saying, how do we create some chances? How do we return the favor a little bit? How do we change the momentum after the first 12 and 13 minutes here?
Forbes with 3 caps for the Jamaican national team. Plays his indoor soccer as well in upstate New York for the Syracuse Silver Knights. Over 5 years with Waterhouse FC down in Jamaica. And his 4 assists this year on top of his 5 from last year, making him one of the leading creators on this side.
For those CCL fans out there, he was part of Waterhouse FC's 14-15 campaign, getting some group stage campaigns. So CCL fever in full effect.
Andrew always sick with CCL fever.
Always.
A number of these New York Red Bulls 2 players getting some CCL minutes this year. Tyler Adams playing some heavy minutes for New York, as did Aaron Long. We saw Derek Etienne make his first team debut in CCL, and Florian Velo getting brought down to Guatemala for the final CCL game of the season his first opportunity to get on the bench for the first team. It's been a big part of New York's season, their first time ever getting out of the group stage, and this New York Red Bull 2 squad was a large part of their success.
Yeah, here's that pressure from Red Bulls too. That's part of the process. These guys are able to slip into the first team and do the job that they're asked to do because they play a very similar style to Jesse Marsh's team. But that's a great opportunity for the Red Bulls organization to blood some of these young players, these prospects, guys they're taking a look at to see what perhaps their future might bring when it comes to the MLS side. We'll see. They should be in that position, assuming they finish in the right places this year to have that opportunity again next year.
Vincent Bezecourt's trialing with that first team this summer last offseason before joining up with New York Red Bulls 2. Terragu forcing the turnover. Adams over to recover. Puts it out. Earns a throw-in.
Tyler Adams, such an impressive young player. All this experience he's gained in USL is going to be really valuable down the line. Still just 17 years old, which is an incredible thing to think about. And this is the future of MLS as well as USL. When MLS teams
Etienne Jr. on the ball in the box. He gets a shot away, but he screws it low and easily taken by Gomez.
There's an opportunity here in USL for young players to get extremely valuable professional experience. You look at the team he's playing against. There will be no quarter given by the Rochester Rhinos. And Derek Etienne's another one of those guys that Red Bulls are looking at and saying, the future is bright for you. Gain some experience in USL, 5 goals, 6 assists this year. He's taken advantage of his opportunity. Those first team chances could be coming very soon.
And everyone watching these performances, Etienne Jr. being put on Haiti's Copa America preliminary roster due to his performances in USL and now getting the call-up for the Caribbean Cup qualifiers this week. Junior Flemings as well on this New York Red Bulls 2 team. His performances got him on the preliminary roster for Jamaica as Thomas Gomez almost lets that ball sneak by him. We've seen him now a couple times off his line, a little bit shaky in these early minutes.
Yeah, decision-making so far hasn't been a bright spot for him, but no harm, no foul, no danger on that one, able to recover. But that's something the Red Bulls are going to be looking at. You notice they went direct on that play. They saw the opportunity to go over the top, and I think there's a little bit of both efficiency in play there, but also a little frustration that they haven't had the better of the play so far.
Bezecourt turning that one over, and this game's going to look much different than what all of their other matchups have looked like so far this season for New York Red Bulls 2. Rochester just seems to be able to figure this team out. As Forbes now, he's been playing with a lot of confidence, finds the feet of Dos Santos. Fall now pushes it wide. Camden coming forward. He gets the cross into the far post. Mira goes up, and he's able to take it cleanly. And now Mira punts it out quickly, trying to catch Rochester on their heels. Bezecourt brings down the second ball. Forbes pushes him off it. Now Velo gets on it. He tries to find Allen with the through ball. He's fouled. And Fall unhappy with the call.
Extremely intelligent foul by Wallfall. That prevented an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. The right channel wide open there, and you can see him cocking his right leg to play that ball, and Wallfall gets in there and shuts it down. The vision to see this, he's beaten here, he knows it, he makes the foul because he has to. A nice tactical foul there.
And if someone fouls Allen going through, it's a card, but Wallfall gets that foul in early enough. It'll be Tyler Adams on the set piece. Bezecourt and Velo normally taking them closer to the box. Adams pushes it wide to Najem. Najem's got space to cross. He whips it in towards Long. It bounces over everyone to James, still alive, and Etienne Jr.'s cross is blocked. Metzger now keeps it alive for New York. Adams, the deepest player on the field for New York. He'll go back to his goalkeeper. And Andrew, I think we've seen more direct play from New York in the opening 20 minutes of this one than we saw in the last 10 games. Rochester, they just match up so well, and they seem to pull New York out of their game. And it's been, you have to say, the better start in these 20 minutes for Rochester than for the home team.
Yeah, it certainly has. You can see why they're unbeaten against New York Red Bulls in their history, these 2 years so far that the Red Bulls 2 have been in USL. It's a game plan. They knew what they were going to do. I think the Red Bulls 2 knew what they were getting into here. They were hoping to pressure early on, hoping that would work. And if not, they knew they were going to have an organized bank to break down. we'll see how they go about chance creation in the later stages of this match, maybe when fatigue starts to play a role. But for now, it's opportunistic direct play from the Red Bulls and waiting for a set piece, if you're honest, if you're Rochester Rhinos. No problem having the ball in their half of the field. As long as the Red Bulls don't have it, or as long as the Red Bulls aren't putting you under pressure in your own third, you have to feel pretty confident about where you stand if you're Rochester.
The gem with the long throw in towards Bezecourt. Bezecourt switching the field. Etienne Jr.'s onside. He's one-on-one with James. Trying to cut inside. He's able to get there. Etienne Jr. rips the shot and puts it home. On the verge of his international debut, Derek Etienne Jr. continues to shine, and he scores the opening goal in this USL Eastern Conference semifinal match, and New York Red Bull 2 lead 1-0.
Nice little jig there between Etienne Jr. and Tyler Adams. Excited for this moment, and he should be. What a goal this is. Once again, direct play gets him in a 1v1 situation, and he does not want to go to his left foot there. To dive in was the wrong move. He cuts back to the right. A nice near post finish. Tomas Gomez will be very disappointed he didn't get to that one, but here you see it. Find him in space, find him in the channel. You can just see it. He wants to go to that right foot. He finally gets back to it. A little bit of a bobble, but sets it up for a nice clean strike just inside that left post.
This is Derek Etienne Jr.'s sixth goal of the season. Brings him into a tie with Vincent Bezecourt. Third on New York Red Bull 2. For Bezecourt, that's his third assist of the season. And that man in that hole in the Sasha Kleshin role, pulling the strings. And Bezecourt has just been on fire to go along with what Derek Etienne Jr. has been able to do.
Absolutely, he has been. And you saw the vision from him there to put it over in space for him. And this is a player that started the year with a knee injury, and it wasn't certain what sort of role he would play for this team. Found his way into the lineup and really forced Wolniak's hand. He can't keep him out at this point, but that's a poor moment for the Red Bulls too.
And an early goal, a quickly taken free kick, and Rochester has it tied up. New York Red Bull 2 not in a lead for a minute. And the Rochester Rhinos answer immediately. Noah Powder not happy at all. And this man, Steven Dos Santos, scores his third postseason goal against Rochester, against New York in his career. And he finally beats Ryan Mira here in 2016.
Naive from Red Bulls too. Very, very naive. And that's a situation in which after you foul, you can't allow that ball to be played. You can't assume the Rhinos are going to set up for a free kick. Just heads up work by Valesky to stand up and play it into the middle of the box, and who else but Steven Dos Santos. He's absolutely been the worst nightmare for Red Bulls 2 in the playoffs over these last 2 years.
Both goals in last year's Eastern Conference semifinal victory. That's his 10th goal of the season. Steven Dos Santos continuing to be a thorn in the side. Well, it's coming fast and heavy here in this game, and it's coming fast and heavy in the USL playoffs. Stay up to date on all the latest from the league by following the league on social media. You can follow the USL on Facebook and Instagram for results, news, and video action from these playoff matches. And already 2 early highlights as Dos Santos blast that shot high. Andrew, we felt like if New York could get an early goal, they would be sitting exactly how they wanted to. The game would be right there for them. They get the early goal. Rochester immediately comes back. Mentally, how does that affect these two sides?
Oh, look, I think Red Bulls 2 turned off a little bit. And you saw what they did when the ball came back in play after that goal. The pressure was immediate. They were excited. They were hyped. They had the lead in a playoff semifinal against a team that has really had their number over their history. But they just turned off. And in a game of this magnitude, that's just not acceptable, and that may be one that comes back to bite them. 1-1 is not, of course, a bad situation for them, but with that 1-0 lead, they had an opportunity to really tighten the screws on Rochester, and as you can see, that's not going to happen now. The Rhinos immediately striking back, and that's got to make Lily very happy.
Dos Santos, a physical presence, but a skillful player as well. He's been a huge pickup out of Cape Verde for this Rochester side. Gilo Vogie trying to find some space. Valesky now comes over and takes it over. Back to James. James looking to make up for that mistake on Etienne Jr.'s goal. Wallfall now keeps it in. Rochester brimming with confidence when it looked like they were backs against the wall just 2 minutes ago. Valesky now and Gilo Vogie. And it's finally won away by Metzger. And now New York looking to counterattack, and Etienne Jr.'s pass is off the mark. And it'll go out of bounds off Tergu.
John Wolniak still sitting down, though. Not too excited, doesn't feel the need to stand up and give his young charges any instruction, let them deal with the situation in the game, solve these problems themselves. So as you said, a little bit of a challenge, something we haven't necessarily seen much this season from Red Bull 2, but a long game, a lot of game left to play here. We'll see how they settle into this match with the 1-1 scoreline as it is.
Red Bull 2 so strong in the regular season, hosting Orlando City B here in the opening game of the playoffs. Orlando City B on a 10-game winless streak coming into that one, as handball is called here. Just sneaking into the playoffs, and it felt like New York Red Bull 2 never got frustrated last week because they knew that eventually it was going to come. This is a different scenario. This is a team that comes here. They've never beaten them. They can knock them off easily. Coach Wolniak said it was intense energy this week, but a different vibe around the team.
Yeah, certainly they were ready for this matchup. They were excited. Wolniak also said he didn't feel the need to emphasize the stakes, which I found interesting with such a young team. He could feel that. He didn't want to make it too big of an occasion for his players. But when you look at Rochester, the one thing that they have that Orlando City B did not have, and many teams in USL don't have at the same level as the Rhinos, is a back line that's happy and willing to play out of this pressure. Very few teams were able to handle it this year, and that's why you saw so many goals scored, so many points accumulated. But as you see right now, the Rhinos don't seem fazed by the pressure, and to be honest, they're not putting themselves in situations where they have to deal with it all too often.
Their pressure so far this game has forced New York center backs into almost as many, if not more, problems than Rochester as Najem gets forward. His cross is blocked. David Najem, a Red Bull Academy player, joining the team this summer after some time in Germany. Tyler Adams now with the cross. It's headed away by Farrell. Powder on the second ball, and he turns it over. A chance now to counter. Noah Powder caught upfield. Gilavogi coming forward. He's got one runner in front of him. It's Dos Santos. Who else? And Adams is able to take it over and now clears it away. Tergu keeping it in. The attacking third for Rochester. Outside of the one mistake on Etienne Jr.'s goal, it's been all Rochester in this game. Valesky to Dos Santos. He has a teammate wide. He tries to go right through the legs of Long. Gilavogi. He drops it back now. Long with the first header won. Adams trying to find Metzger. He slides in now, right in front of the referee. It's a foul called. We'll see if there's a card coming. Adams complaining that he got the ball, but it was a long touch from Tyler Adams, and it's always obvious, Andrew, when you see those, you slide in off that long touch, you're going to get called for the foul.
Yeah, he gets ball here, but he comes through the back of the player. I think a fair foul call there from the referee. Keep an eye on Dos Santos. He's been holding that right leg, that ankle knee area. He's been a little bit ineffectual for the past minute and a half. A huge, huge absence if he's not able to continue. You saw already the effect he can have on this game. Another set piece here for the Rochester Rhinos to set up on.
Rochester getting another good chance to get everyone forward. Forbes now pushes this one to the far post, and Mira out controlling his box. Etienne Jr. immediately on the catch, like a sprinter out of his blocks down that right side. He gets on the end of this punt, but he's not able to keep it in.
Frustration there, as it should be. That's another opportunity, but as we've seen over and over and over, the best opportunities for Red Bulls 2 come off long kicks, off direct balls into the channels. So far, they haven't found a way to break down this 4-4-2 of the Rhinos.
I don't think this game has played out so far at all how we expected. Rochester playing more open, New York playing more direct, but yet it's been entertaining.
I think Rochester are inviting these balls into that area in front of their box. They would love for Red Bulls 2 to play direct into that area because they believe they're going to win the first ball and the second ball, and they have. And once they do that, they have willing runners into those channels, and they're not looking to play tiki-taka around you. When they get the ball in possession in the Red Bulls 2 final third, it's not cutting edge so far. But when they have an opportunity to hit you at speed, that's where they can be dangerous or perhaps pick up a foul in those areas. Right now, I think they've got to be very satisfied with where they're at, and Red Bulls 2 are going to be looking for some way, somehow to get things going. Brandon Allen, until this point, has really been quiet. He's had black and white striped shirts around him at all times, and it's going to be very difficult for him to have an effect on this game if it just long balls into his head all night.
John Wolyniec, of course, a striker in his career, a man who knows the experience of being marooned up top by yourself, trying to create something as Valot's cross is headed out. And he's going to have to talk to Brandon Allen and try and keep him focused and keep him in an influential part of this game. As a corner kick now coming up for New York, it'll be Bezecourt going to the corner.
And this is an opportunity. Aaron Long showed in that last game against Orlando City B with his first 2 goals of the season that he can be a real threat on set pieces. Wolyniec said before this match that matchups, they're going to have to get a little bit creative. We'll see what they do in this set piece situation.
It'll be Bezecourt, left-footed, out-swinging cross. Played in top of the box, still alive now for a second chance. Najem with the strike, it hits a body, goes down. Now Etienne Jr. with the follow-up, blocked by his own teammate, and finally cleared by Rochester.
Just a little unlucky there for Red Bulls too, but you like that they get in, and not necessarily that they win those challenges, but they're right in the right area for those. A nice dummy here to perhaps set up a crossing opportunity.
Metzger leaving it for Najem. Now 3 or 4 defenders surrounding Najem. He's able to get it back, gets the cross away, and Farrell's the first one to meet it for Rochester. The Rhinos 25 goals conceded this year. Not as good as last year's record-setting number, but still one of the top 3 marks in the league. You can also share your 2016 USL Playoff comments, pictures, and videos on Twitter using the hashtag USL Playoffs. We'll check that out at halftime as well if you have any questions or comments for us. David Goss and Andrew Wiebe about 30 minutes into this one as we see this replay of New York's corner kick opportunity. On the field, Najem with the cross into the far post. Valot with the follow shot, and it's saved by Gomez.
Valot's been a little bit quiet so far, but both he and Bezecourt are the ones that seem to be the string pullers for this team. Right now, Derek Etienne Jr. more than happy to get on those breaks. I think a little disappointed, as we said, not to track down that long pump by Ryan Mira, but we'll see how those different roles change throughout the match. I don't expect those guys to stay in the same position all night. They'll interchange, they'll move around, they'll try to find the best matchups and perhaps confuse the back line of Rochester a little bit.
And once again, Brandon Allen nowhere near the front line, and Najem here with this cross. It goes through Bezecourt, Valot following up, trying to sneak it in that near post.
Yeah, cuts across the ball. Nice technique there, but it's going to be very difficult to be a goalkeeper like Gomez from that angle with that sort of strike. But good signs for Red Bull 2 faithful. That's a better start for them.
A battle in the midfield. New York comes away with it. Bezecourt with the outside of the football. Etienne Jr. charging on. And Camden able to put it out. Etienne Jr. with the lone goal of the game for New York Red Bull 2. He joins Bezecourt as the only players to score against this Rochester team out on the field. South Ward getting into this one behind their side. They were ahead for about a minute. Derek Etienne Jr. just past the 20-minute mark, making it 1-0 New York, and Rochester immediately responding. Valesky with the quickly taken free kick to Dos Santos. You saw that savviness from Valesky to create that opportunity for Rochester.
Didn't wait for the whistle, and it's so smart in that situation. Got his head up, recognized the scenario, and if they call that play back, they call the play back and you have a free kick. But he took a chance, and it worked out for them, and a very nice finish at the back post. Ryan Mira rushing out to try to close that one down. Wasn't able to do it, and the momentum swing almost immediate from Rochester Rhinos.
Allen's able to win this one. They've been far and few between for him.
But so many numbers around Red Bulls players. Anytime they're on the end of a long ball like that or attempting to win a second ball, Rochester certainly have the numerical advantage in those situations.
Bezecourt's cross is blocked. Easily taken by Gomez, who's settled down since his shaky start. You see the replay of that one.
Seems to thrust his shoulder out a little bit in that scenario. You see his arms behind his back.
You're the instant replay, man.
Savvy defensive play there. If you don't get the call, then it's not a foul.
Andrew Wiebe, the instant replay backup goalkeeper.
Indeed.
Getting 2 appearances a year.
Second string. Just waiting for my moment to judge something a red card in this match.
Well, they have happened. Conrad Pleva last year in the playoffs, a 22nd minute red card. Steven Dos Santos in the second matchup here in the regular season, picking up a red card late in that game as well. And these two teams, as we mentioned, not shying away from many tackles. This is a game that will be competitively matched until the final minute you can expect. Metzger is able to win this one. Bezecourt looking to play Etienne Jr. through. Etienne Jr. acres of space now on this far side. An early ball into the box, and it's intercepted by Apostolopoulos. Etienne Jr. and Velo swapping wings. So now Camden forced to go head-to-head with the goal scorer.
You saw in that situation Camden happy to give him that space, and in large part because it is just Allen alone in a scenario like that. They feel like they can deal with that early ball into the box, no problem. But prior to that play, Noah Powder really getting away with one. A pretty bad turnover in his own final third, in his own defensive third, I should say. Nearly taken advantage of by the Rhinos. Those are the sorts of opportunities that the Red Bulls too want to create. So far, they haven't had the opportunity.
Nike's a proud partner of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike Soccer information, or go to nike.com/soccer. David Goss and Andrew Wiebe here on the USL YouTube channel and NewYorkRedBulls.com for the Eastern Conference semifinal matchup in these USL Cup playoffs. New York Red Bull to a historic season. Most goals scored, most wins, most points ever in a USL regular season, surpassing all the marks by the historic Orlando City squad of 2014. They were one shutout short of tying Rochester's record from last year, and now they face off against Rochester here at home to try and host the Eastern Conference Finals next weekend. Camden gets forward from his fullback position. We haven't seen him get a lot of space. It's mainly been James up the right side. 35 minutes into this one, Andrew. One goal apiece, barely a minute apart. How do you see this one? How have you seen this one play out so far?
Well, as we said, Red Bulls struggled to get into it early, and Rochester really had the game on their terms, and I really think they still do. They're forcing Red Bulls 2 in a scenario, especially when it comes to chance creation, that they're not used to, and that's the sort of turnover that we just saw right there that Red Bulls 2 want to create, that they want to get out of the break. They want to create positive number scenarios, and right now it's Rochester. But the flip side, I think, is Rochester is happy to put a foot on the ball, to possess a little bit in safe areas, maybe hold on to it, keep the Red Bulls out of their vintage possession, or excuse me, not possession, pressure. But it's not going to go anywhere in large part, and this is where the Red Bulls and the Red Bulls 2 can take advantage. Perhaps force some turnovers from that back line that aren't used to it.
Dos Santos with the flick on. Tergu trying to run on to the end of it, and it's cleared away by Mira. And we knew the size factor for Rochester coming into it. But every ball that's played up the middle of the field, Valesky and Dos Santos have flicked on. And everyone on Rochester runs hard off those balls, Andrew, because they know that the potential is that their teammate's going to win the ball and it's going to be worthwhile.
Yeah, second balls so far have been almost all Rochester Rhinos, and that's bad news for Red Bulls too, because as I said, that's where a lot of that chance creation comes from. Forcing those loose balls in the right area and then winning them.
Sofian Tergu with the ball down the channel. Valesky keeps it alive. Now Camden with the cross. Two players on the far post that Noah Powder has to deal with. Gilavogi is able to win it, and Powder makes the tackle when he had to. And now New York looking to go the other way. Brandon Allen, 16 goals so far this season, 15 in the regular season, one behind the Golden Boot winner, Sean Okoli in Cincinnati. And I don't know if he's had a touch in the attacking third in the opening 38 minutes of this one.
Certainly not a positive touch at this point. He's just been so harried by those two central defenders. He's not had a moment to himself, and I think part of that is by design. He's occupying those two in order to give opportunities to Derek Etienne Jr., who we've seen being a lot of space so far. But I'm just not sure in build-up how the Red Bulls are going to break through this 4-4-2. The shape, the organization from Rochester has been pretty much spotless so far. perhaps fatigue will play a role, and this is the sort of scenario that they want to take advantage of. He had his opportunity there, but hurried on the ball, and perhaps a result of not being in possession much so far this match.
The gem turns Rochester back over. Now Adams is trying to get it back into the attacking third quickly. Metzger pushes it wide. The gem one-on-one with Tergu. Tergu steps in, and he's going to get called for the free kick, and it'll be a free kick for New York deep in the attacking third off the right side of that wing as Luis Guardia is out over to talk a little bit. Looks like Najem is down, and a yellow card is coming out. So Tergu picks up the second yellow card of the game. Joe Farrell picking up a yellow card during, it looked like the goal celebration for New York. Didn't have much time to talk about it because Rochester not wasting a lot of time after that goal, but Sofian Tergu picks up the second yellow of the game for the Rhinos.
A silly foul. You could see how frustrated he was with himself after he did it. He had the opportunity to win the ball, and he just kind of threw a leg out there and give the Red Bulls, too, a really, really good opportunity to get a dangerous ball in the box and perhaps get Aaron Long or Brandon Allen or one of the other guys on the end of it.
So it'll be Bezecourt once again to take.
Perfect spot for this left foot.
He's got 3 assists so far this year. Maybe picking up a 4th. Late here in the first half. Bezecourt with the cross, and it's taken cleanly by Gomez.
We'll regret that one. He's got to give his guys an opportunity to get there in the box. And here you see the foul. He has the ball won and just throws a leg out. All he needs to do is get his hip into him on the right side there, and would have won the ball, could have turned things around. But as I said, a dangerous opportunity not taken advantage of by New York.
Don't forget the 2016 USL Cup Final will be broadcast live on ESPNU. The game kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, October 23rd. So mark it on your calendars. That is what these two teams are playing for. Rochester winning last year at home over LA Galaxy 2, New York Red Bulls 2, trying to get to that game in just their second year of existence. And we'd be remiss to not mention Asani Samuels coming off the bench last year in the USL final, scoring 2 goals to win it. One in extra time, one in stoppage time, one in extra time, as Tergu gets the shot away. And Samuel's on the bench today as an attacking option. Ryan Mira with the save over the top, another corner kick coming.
Here he is telling his defenders to close that down alone at the top of the 18-yard box. Just a little bit of a loose clearance there. It gives Tergu an opportunity to hit the ball on frame. A nice clean strike from him, but just too close to Ryan Mira, who gets 2 strong palms of that one and pushes it over the top.
It's been rare for Mira to concede more than 1 in a game. Rochester trying to get that done today. It'll be Forbes on the corner towards the near post. Fall heads it down and hits a couple bodies. It's partially cleared by New York. A second chance may be coming for the Rhinos. This cross hit low and on the ground, and Adams is the first one to it.
An opportunity there for Adams to spark the break. Just got a little bit impatient. Didn't have the composure he needed to step on the ball, take a positive touch, and get the fast break going.
Forbes will look to take advantage of that mistake. He clips the ball over the top. Everyone on Rochester onside now. Valesky with the cross towards Dos Santos. It's won by Powder, and then the touch by Metzger to get away. Bezecourt slowed up by Fall and Forbes, and Forbes is able to win it in the midfield. And it looks like an offside call against Steven Dos Santos. New York not wasting any time to let Rochester set back up, but Rochester still has numbers back defensively. Metzger with a strong tackle. He has stepped up, Andrew, to the physical test that we knew Rochester would bring.
Yeah, he's been very good in that midfield area so far, and he's winning the second balls in his zone, which is what the Red Bulls need.
Bezecourt gets the cross away, the first one saved, and Brandon Allen follows it up. And New York Red Bulls 2 take the lead once again here late in the first half.
Who else? Brandon Allen on the doorstep. You knew he'd be there. If there was an opportunity to clean up a mess and give the Red Bulls 2 a lead, he would pounce on it. We said it. He hasn't really seen the ball this game. He's taken a beating, But here's the buildup. Bezecourt driving through a nice little give and go with Derek Etienne Jr. And when he gets here on that left foot, you expect him to put a good ball into the box. Velo gets his shot saved, but a nice finish there just underneath the diving Tomas Gomez. It's this 1-2 that really opens things up, though. He holds off the pressure there from Wallfall. Very strong from Bezecourt. He's had a great postseason so far. A little bit awkward there from Brandon Allen, but it doesn't matter how pretty it is. Gets the job done. 2-1, Red Bulls 2.
His 17th goal of the season, his second of the postseason. The all-time leading goal scorer in Georgetown history slots that one home past his former Hoya teammate Tomas Gomez for the second goal of the game for New York Red Bulls 2. Now, Andrew, the question, can they hold it for more than a minute?
Well, they need to. They need to get to halftime at 2-1, but that couldn't come at a better time for Red Bulls 2. A little bit of uncertainty, as we said, in this first half. Maybe not able to play the style that they'd like. Maybe not able to dictate the game to the same level that they have all season long in USL. But to have that 2-1 lead is a great thing to take into halftime for John Wolniak to have a nice conversation with his guys. And it's a little bit surprising. 3 previous games here at Red Bull Arena between these two teams, no goals in those matches. So we've had a nice start to this one, a little bit of attacking play from both teams. We'll see how it carries over into the second half. For now, though, Red Bulls 2 trying to get a third.
Bezecourt now pushing in towards the box. He gets the cross away low, and Allen's shot. And it looks like it was saved out for a corner kick as we have official confirmation of 1 minute of stoppage time.
Cheeky from Allen there. Just that little flick, trying to get his foot on it, coming across the near post. And it's the right run from him. That's what he needs to make in that center forward position. Looks like the left foot just kind of gets a nick, tries to sneak it inside the near post, but Tomas Gomez saw that one coming.
Bezecourt will take the corner kick here in stoppage time. Play to the far side. It's headed down, still alive, and Aaron Long with 2 goals last week trying to get his first of the day.
Unlucky Wallfall was in the way, shall we say. He had an opportunity to strike on goal there. Wallfall getting the worst of that one, but nearly another opportunity for the Red Bulls from a set piece.
Coach Wolinek's team, you mentioned it. He wasn't up off the bench yelling when they conceded almost a minute after going ahead. And his team did the job. 15 goals on the season, 2 goals here in the postseason, 15 in the regular season. What a year it has been in his first year as a professional soccer player. Ryan Meir only conceding 14 goals so far this year. So Steven Dos Santos, one of a rare few around the USL to beat him, and Tomas Gomez giving up that goal late. He made the initial save on Velo, and Brandon Allen swept it home to give New York the 2-1 lead.
Watch Steven Dos Santos this half because he looks a little bit ginger still. We talked about him holding his ankle, his knee, but he doesn't look in full flight right now. He came out of the locker room, seemed to be pulling along that leg a little bit. That could be a real problem for Rochester in the second half. He really is their most dynamic attacking player.
Dos Santos at 6'4" when he really gets those legs stretched can be a threat out there on the field. Long shot from Forbes. It's deflected by Carroll, and New York now will look to go the other way. The opening 20 minutes or so of that first half, more possession for Rochester than we expected, more direct from New York than we expected, and then Etienne Jr. changed the entire game, and it was basically chaos for the second 20 minutes as these two teams both still tried to find their feet, created opportunities.
I don't think we've seen either team really tap into their identity, so to speak, in this match. Red Bulls do certainly have not had the opportunity to put the pressure to tighten the screws on the Rochester Rhinos for a couple different reasons. The Rhinos just tidy in possession in the back, but they're also going direct almost immediately, and that's also where you see the Red Bulls attempting to create chances. With a 2-1 lead, I think they'll get in here, try to put the ball in dangerous spaces, and maybe that's where their pressure starts to manifest itself. Maybe it's not when they're calm on the ball and passing it around in the back. Maybe it's when you have to win a second ball in your own defensive third that the Red Bulls too can get underway and maybe create a few chances off that pressure.
Early on here in this second half, the New York Red Bull 2, we have to mention, have been killer in second halves this season. USL high 36 goals in the second half. To give you a frame of reference, Andrew, that's only 2 less goals than Rochester scored the entire season.
Boy, I was about to follow up with that stat, David Goss on top of things here, but that speaks to the explosiveness of New York this season. And on the flip side, the tight results that have gotten the Rochester Rhinos to this point. They don't go out and win games 5-6-0 as we've seen New York do this year. They're a team that wants to get a one-goal win. They're a team that wants to hold on to leads and suffocate you defensively with that organized shape. Right now, they don't have the opportunity to do that. They're going to have to take some chances. It's a matter of if and when they do that. Will they wait a little while, let the game come to them? I can't imagine they want to give the Red Bulls, too, an opportunity to get a 2-goal lead.
And that has been the problem for teams all season here at Red Bull Arena. When forced to come from behind, they've been exposed to this potent New York Red Bull 2 attack. Etienne Jr. already a goal today. He gets the cross away. It's won by Apostolopoulos. The second ball falls for New York, but Tergu able to fight it away, and now New York on the ball. As the Empire Supporters Club of the South Ward in full voice here today, looking for New York Red Bull 2 to continue the road towards a potential second trophy in just their second year. Noah Powder able to keep this ball alive, and it'll fall now for Rochester.
You notice that chance came from the left foot of Bezecourt. That is where the Rhinos need to shut off the service for Red Bulls 2. So far, that's where all the dangerous opportunities have come from, directly from that left foot.
Tyler Adams, the first ever signing in New York Red Bulls 2 history at just 16 years old, scored a goal in his first team debut against Chelsea in the International Champions Cup on this field last summer. Made his MLS debut against San Jose this year. Sitting in that midfield right now. Just a year after his professional career started, potentially going to a USL Eastern Conference Championship. But we've got a long way to go. If there's anything we know about Rochester, it's that they love a good late goal, a stoppage time equalizer, and an extra time winner in the USL Championship last year. The king of one-goal victories. They currently trail by 1 here at Red Bull Arena.
And I'm sure in halftime, John Wolniak talked to his guys and said, hey, be composed. We cannot afford another red card in a scenario like this. We have a lead. We have an opportunity. A quick way to give that up and perhaps let the Rhinos back into the game and start getting a little bit of confidence is to go shorthanded against this veteran squad.
Brandon Beresford, who started the last game for Rochester, he's away in international duty with Guyana. He was filling in for one of the captains of this squad, Mike Garzi, who had 2 goals and 2 assists this year. So a depleted Rochester bench right now, although they do have options. Visit USLsoccer.com for full coverage of the 2016 USL Cup playoffs, including feature stories, video highlights, stats, and much more. That's USLsoccer.com. New York Red Bull 2 are looking to hold on. They would host the winner of the Louisville-Charleston match tomorrow here at Red Bull Arena next Sunday at 6:30 p.m. That would be a doubleheader with New York Red Bull's Columbus Crew SC's match in MLS play. If Rochester wins, they have the potential to either host Charleston at home on October 15th at 6 p.m. or travel to Slugger Field in Louisville to face off against the number 2 team in the Eastern Conference, as well as a rematch, it would be, of the 2015 USL Eastern Conference Championship. Dos Santos able to get some possession. A lot of space here for Wallfall at the top of the box. He goes wide. Gilavogi's shot, and it's blocked by Mira and cleared by Adams. So the first shot of the second half for Rochester.
Metzger and Adams really need to close down that hole there at the top of the box. That's where the danger came from. Wallfall able to get into a dangerous area and spray that pass wide. A really nice left-footed shot here. We've seen Gilavogi try to get 1v1 a number of times in this match. He's been shut down in a lot of those situations, but in that instance, no defender to beat, just has to get on his left peg and hit it hard.
Camden is able to block the pass, and it'll go out off him for a throw. And as Coach Lilly right underneath him barking out a couple of commands to this team. They have been phenomenal on the road so far this year. Only 4 wins, but only 3 losses, 8 draws over the course of the year for Rochester on the road. Finishing the regular season in 4th place. This cross gets clipped in, earning the chance to host the Charlotte Independents. A lot of people thought maybe New York Red Bulls 2 would prefer to see Charlotte, knowing their path, but at the same time, a great opportunity for them to beat their rival, to beat a team that they have struggled mightily against in the biggest moment that they've ever played them.
Yeah, if you're going to get a win against this team, now's the time to do it, and there's no shortage of motivation for Red Bulls 2 in this match. As we said, the players really pumped up in the week leading up. John Wolniak did not have to do any motivational speeches. He didn't have to stand up and rile them up. They knew the stakes here, and they also knew what their history was against this team, and I can't imagine they've been happy with 3 scoreless draws here, as well as the fact that they lost this team in the playoffs last year. It's a team that's had their number for 2 years. It's a veteran team. It's a team that's a win-at-all-cost club as well. Not one that's in the game for development, not one in here looking to push players up to the MLS level or perhaps test out academy players. This would be a feather in the cap of these young Red Bulls 2 players to go out and beat a team that so far really has had their way with them over 2 years.
Forbes now gets on his horse as he charges towards this back line. He's able to come away with it, the left-footed shot, and it's taken by Ryan Mira cleanly in his palms.
Good recovery by the Red Bulls midfield there, but Forbes able to wiggle away from pressure here. You thought he was done and dusted, but a tough touch there from Tyler Adams. You don't think he really knew much about that one. Popped it right into a good spot for a left-footed shot, but Mira won't be troubled by those.
Not only at the USL level have these teams matched up, but in US Open Cup, New York Red Bulls MLS side knocked off Rochester this year 1-0 in Rochester to end their US Open Cup run. Of course, the history they have in that tournament, 1999 champions of the US Open Cup, the last non-MLS squad to win that title, 4-time USL champions. Cross comes in, Dos Santos with the header, and for the second time, he ties it up. Steven Dos Santos, he goes just as he did last year, 2 goals in the Eastern Conference semifinals against New York Red Bull 2, and Rochester Rhinos have their equalizer.
Yeah, forget about that bum wheel. They've been getting the ball wide into good positions for much of this match. The service just hasn't been good enough, and Forbes is the fulcrum there. He's going to find the wide play, a nice little chip ball into the box, but nobody within 5 or 6 feet of Dos Santos. That is not what Joel Wolniak will want in a situation like that, and a smart finish from him. Bent over now, showing his teeth, baring those teeth. No smile because he knows there's a lot of time left, but this guy really has killed Red Bulls 2 in his short career against them.
Steven Dos Santos having another phenomenal night against this New York Red Bull 2 squad. This goal coming here in the 55th minute. His 11th goal of the season. Ryan James picking up his 3rd assist of the season. And what a game from Dos Santos. 2 opportunities, neither of them easy ones. Both of them needed a striker's finish, and he stepped up both times.
Yeah, defensive breakdowns, to be honest with you. You cannot let the second leading scorer of the Rochester Rhinos stand alone at the top of the 6-yard box as service comes in. Somebody has got to bump him. Somebody's got to be in his space to throw him off. He's not going to get many easier headers than that, but still a very, very cultured finish from Dos Santos. The little flick just inside that back post. Ryan Mira with no chance to save that one, and we're back to 2-2. We're back to an even game. How will the Red Bulls 2 respond? Rochester, I think, the veteran team, the team that will feel confident that they can come out on top based on their history.
A couple members of Oak Street Brigade here at Red Bull Arena making the trip down from Rochester. They are loving it. For the second time here, their squad has tied it up. And I tell you what, we didn't expect a lot of goals in this game.
We did not.
But Bob Lilly told me today this game was going to be higher scoring than any of the ones we've seen so far this season. Now, that wasn't a high mark to go for because they've only scored 1 goal each. But he promised me goals, and he did not. He did not let me down.
No, Bob Lilly, the precog, he's got this thing figured out. 2-2 here in the second half. And There will be more. I predict there will, because both these teams are going to start to throw caution to the wind. We've seen good chances to start the second half. Smart there from the Red Bulls. They got burned in the first half on that first goal on a quick free kick. Tyler Adams jumping in the way to get in front of that one. Frustrating defending, though, if you're a Red Bulls 2 fan. This is not what you expect from them. From a team that gave up 21 goals all year long, to have 2 defensive breakdowns in that manner in the biggest game of the year, that's disappointing.
Tyler Adams picks up the yellow card. So he'll have to be careful here. 2 yellow cards for Rochester in the first half.
I'm not sure where the yellow card came from there, to be honest with you. I think a garden variety foul, as we saw the replay there. He didn't get into him with the challenge, simply a clumsy tackle.
Farrell put under some pressure. Allen tries to win it off him, but Farrell's able to at least get it away. Great work there from Joe Farrell not to get forced into the turnover on the top of his box. Etienne Jr. with the early touch. Bezecourt in the box now, and Camden recovers and makes the sliding tackle.
What a play by Camden. He saved the goal here. It was not on Bezecourt's preferred left foot, but the recognition of space and then the one-touch passing from Derek Etienne Jr. as he goes to make the block. Just a last-ditch effort there from Camden to keep this game tied.
Bezecourt has been phenomenal once again in this game. He's got an assist so far from Derek Etienne Jr.'s goal. Looking for his first goal of the game there. And now it'll be a New York corner kick as Luis Guardia has a couple comments, it looks like, for Brandon Allen deep in the box. Bezecourt now to take. He hits it low towards the top of the 6. It's deflected away. Every player in the box right now for Rochester, and Noah Powder blasts his shot over the top.
Little rush of blood there. Probably better off chipping the ball back into the area and that recycle off the corner kick.
So New York Red Bull 2 took a lead in the 20th minute. Steven Dos Santos tied it up in the 22nd. Brandon Allen took the lead once again in the 44th. And who else but Steven Dos Santos once again tied it up as we sit at 2-2 here in this Eastern Conference semifinals here on the USL YouTube channel and NewYorkRedBulls.com. David Goss and Andrew Wiebe alongside you for this one. You can stay up to date on the latest from the USL Cup playoffs by following the league on social media. You can follow the USL on Facebook and Instagram for results, news, and video action from these playoff matchups. No shortage of entertainment so far throughout the playoffs. The number 1 seed in the Western Conference, Sacramento, falling to OC Blues in a 5-4 penalty kick shootout. Colin Bonner coming off the bench, scoring 2 stoppage time goals for an Oklahoma City Energy win. Swope Park Rangers beating last year's Western Conference champions LA Galaxy 2 with 2 stoppage time goals and a 3-0 win. So a lot of surprises, of course. FC Cincinnati in front of a record home playoff crowd falling to Charleston Battery last week. And so far this game has gone right in that order. As this ball's curled into the far post, Dos Santos can't quite turn on it, and he's able to keep it up. One-on-one out wide with Long. Tergu now with the second chance. Valesky heads it down. Carroll bodies him off, and then he'll roll it out for a throw-in.
Dos Santos, just a menace at all time. Didn't quite get his body shape right to strike in on frame, but you see he sets up his partner, and a good defensive play by Zach Carroll to get that one out of danger. The Red Bulls, I think one thing they are missing in this match is we've seen their style go from that high-pressure system we saw work so well all year to a little bit more direct. They don't necessarily have a ton of speed up front right now. Brandon Allen's not a burner. He's not going to beat you in a situation in a 1v1 foot race. Junior Flemings is a guy who's injured, but really could have had an effect on this match. They're really relying on Derek Etienne to be that resource, that outlet up top, that guy who can get into space, hold the ball up, bring others into play, or maybe take it 1v1.
Flemings, 7 goals on the season, finished the regular season as the second leading goal scorer on the team, even though he missed over a month of action after his injury. He is out for the rest of the year. I mentioned a part of the Copa America preliminary roster for Jamaica. He was A huge fine for New York Red Bulls coming into the season. And it looks like the free kick's going against New York on this one. Our head referee, Luis Guardia. No card coming, just a talking to Metzger.
John Wolniak not a fan of this call. Down there gesticulating with the fourth referee, the assistant referee. I did think Metzger got an elbow up on this one. Not a yellow card as given by the referee, but certainly something to watch for. He got a warning there, no doubt.
No substitutes so far in this game, but Rochester preparing their first sub as they have a dangerous turnover here immediately off the free kick. Adams trying to find Bezecourt. Bezecourt's able to get it under control before Rochester turns it back over, and Metzger's going to get most likely a yellow card
That'll
here.
Be a yellow, yep.
So right after that talking to, he picks up a yellow card. Now Metzger and Adams, both in that central midfield, both sitting on a yellow card. We also have to mention Speedy Williams, the other holding midfielder on this team, out with an injury. He's not on the 18, so dangerous now for New York in that central midfield.
Certainly is, and we've seen that Rochester want to break at pace, and they've got a couple big boys in there that are going to absorb contact. Those two got to watch out, and it's really about being clean in possession, I think. It's those turnovers, that change in possession that gets you in trouble, that forces both the central midfielders into a desperation tackle, and Metzger didn't really have an option there. That's a good foul from him. He knew he was going to take the yellow. He made the play. He took the card. You move on. You understand you have to play with a little caution from now on.
Bob Lilly getting ready to bring on Sean Tosh for the first substitution of the game for either team. We'll see who it's in place of. Tosh at 6'2" continues that trend of size on this Rochester team. A defender and midfielder out of Northern Illinois. Najem getting some space down the right side. He gets it into the feet of Velo, and Camden once again gets the block in. It'll be a New York corner kick now.
Good to see Velo get in some open space. He's had a tough game so far, especially in the attacking side. Hasn't been very influential. That's a guy with plenty of skill, talent, ability to unlock a defense. So far they've been relying on Bezecourt, but they need him to wake up a little bit, take on some defenders, perhaps create some opportunities for his teammates to get back in the lead in this game.
Etienne Jr. coming over as a short corner option. Canardo Forbes following him, as is Ryan James. Bezecourt now to take it. He goes to the top of the box to Najem. Najem now with the cross. It's flicked on, and it'll go out on that far post. Dangerous opportunity, though, for New York.
What a ball that was from Najem. You can see here he takes it first time into the box. Unfortunately, nobody making that secondary run. Red Bulls 2 can't get to it. They've got another dangerous opportunity, though, from the corner kick, and I believe for the first time it looks like Bezecourt will not be the one who takes it.
Etienne Jr. going over there. It will be Etienne Jr., the leading assist man in the regular season, trying to add one here in the postseason. Curled in. It's headed away over Adams. He gets a header to it. A shot cleared off the line and finally away by Rochester.
What a defensive play that was. But once again, Thomas Gomez with a little bit of a questionable decision to come off his line.
Najem gets a second ball in, but it's taken by Gomez.
Here's the ball in. They go with the in-swinger from the right foot of Derek Etienne Jr. and a good clearance to start, but that's a nice header back in. The nice touch from Aaron Long off the thigh of the Rochester defender. That saved the goal.
And as it always is, Guy Lavogi with the goal line clearance, and that might be his last act of the game. Looks like Sean Tosh is going to come on in his favor. But if that is, Andrew, what a huge moment for Rochester to not fall behind for a third time.
Yeah, massive moment for them. Speaking of Sean Tosh, though, he's a defender. We expect him to play probably right wing. He's played some center defensive mid this year. He's more a defensive-minded guy, but he did score the winner in that 3-2 victory in Rochester for the Rhinos over Red Bull 2.
That, up until this one, was the basically only high-scoring game these two teams has ever played.
He's seen a 2-2 scoreline between these two teams, huh?
Yeah, stoppage time winner for him, but can he do it once again? So it will be Tosh on for Michel Gilavogi. A big moment there in the final minutes of his performance. The goal line clearance off the shot by Aaron Long. Rochester now can breathe a sigh of relief. Coach Bob Lilly got exactly, I think, what he wanted from this. Not a replacement player, but a position that's been in flux with injuries and international call-ups. I think Kyriazis gave him a good performance here today.
Yeah, 65 minutes of hard work from Kyriazis. He got in some situations 1v1 that he couldn't quite take advantage of, but he did put the Red Bulls under pressure a few times. He had that left-footed shot I think he would have wanted to do a little bit better with, but tested Ryan Mira. But look, sometimes it comes down to one or two plays for a player that you judge their performance on, and for Kyriazis to keep that ball off the line, out of the goal, to maintain this 2-2 scoreline, that's a huge play at this stage of the game. Red Bulls 2 would have been in a great position to go on and win and move on from this semifinal had that ball crossed from Aaron Long.
Rochester goes back to Gomez. He plays it long towards Dos Santos. Carroll able to win it. Adams losing out on the second ball.
One of the few times Dos Santos has lost that challenge there.
Tosh able to get his first touch on the ball. James here had the assist on Dos Santos' second goal. He now takes it away from Adams. Farrell up the field. Carroll clears it back into the space. And Farrell able to win it ahead of Etienne Jr. And it gets put out of bounds for a New York Red Bull 2 throw-in. Dos Santos in an offside position, so he'll hold up. Carroll tries to head it back, not enough power on it, and Mira just gets a touch before Valesky's in on goal.
So calm from Ryan Mira. That's a situation you might see a younger goalkeeper, a less experienced goalkeeper, have a little bit of a panic scenario. What do? I can't use my hands. Very calm, very collected, an easy pass out wide to his defender.
And Ryan Mira, we know the story for him. Phenomenal first year, getting drafted, becoming the starting goalkeeper. He gets hurt. Iron Man Luis Robles takes over, and then as you see his name up in the stadium here, 138 straight MLS matches have been started since that moment for Luis Robles. But Mira's still only 25 years old. He went on loan last year, didn't get time, but there's a theme around him as if he's a stalled player, when for a goalkeeper, he's still extremely young.
Yeah, he is very young, and sometimes it's circumstance that keep you out of a lineup, and Luis Robles came in with very little fanfare, had that time in Germany, knew he was a quality goalkeeper, but this is a player that thought he might be doing insurance, thought he might quit the game, and finds a place with the Red Bulls and turns into what has really become a club legend in many ways. His name, as you said, up here in the arena based on appearances, he is the Iron Man. But Ryan Mira, still a very, very capable backup for him at this point, waiting for his opportunity. You expect someday that will come, but for now, Red Bulls 2, very happy to have him in between the posts.
And what a luxury that he's able to get 23 professional soccer starts, high-intensity games, playoff atmosphere games with this New York Red Bull 2 squad that 2 years ago wouldn't have been possible.
Now, you see that all over the field, and we spoke about that in the pregame. This is just a great opportunity for all of these players, whether they're continuing their professional career after college, looking for an opportunity to make some money playing the game they love and progress as players, or if they're trying to make the move to MLS, as some of these are, and some of them are signed to MLS contracts, playing down the likes of Tyler Adams, Derek Etienne Jr., Brandon Allen, these guys looking for an opportunity, look to prove themselves to Jesse Marsh. And if you look around the stadium, you see some Red Bulls players in the stands. Dax McCarty watching on as perhaps his understudy, Tyler Adams, plays in this game and attempts to change things for Red Bulls too. So playing in front of a crowd that knows what it means to be successful on this very field at Red Bull Arena.
Share your 2016 USL playoff comments, pictures, and videos on Twitter using the hashtag USL Playoffs. You can also tweet at Andrew Wiebe if you want.
Andrew_Wiebe, I should add.
It won't matter. No, you won't be able to read it with the massive amount of tweets that you constantly have coming in.
Of course. Big thanks to Extra Time Radio fans for recognizing the little bit longer broadcast you're getting from the both of us tonight.
Just barely, though. We have an ability to talk. This ball played back in by Farrell. Valesky had the assist on the opening goal. He hasn't gotten a chance for himself yet. And that cross goes over everyone's head and lands at the feet of Powder.
But that's where the chances are going to come. Those direct balls of Valesky, holds it up, a nice little touch inside. You need a few extra runners in there, maybe a little bit more wise to put his foot on the ball and wait for support. But that's where Rochester wants to create chances. Gets Valesky one-on-one, let him beat a man, 1 or 2 cutting balls, and then the finish. Dos Santos has shown he can be that guy on the end of a cross.
New York Red Bull 2 have yet to go to the substitution bench here as we are just north of 70 minutes played now. If this game is still tied at the end of regulation, we will go to 2 15-minute periods of stoppage time. Of course, no golden goal. If we're then still tied, we go to a best-of-5 penalty kick shootout. It would be the first one ever for New York Red Bull 2.
An opportunity there in space for Bezecourt to turn. Just couldn't quite do it. Red Bulls 2 still trying to find an opening here.
Velo gets taken down. Luis Guardia says play on. And Andrew, that's one of those situations where is it an advantage even though you still have possession as this ball goes over Etienne Jr.? A free kick in that situation seems like a better advantage for this team.
And you can play advantage and bring it back when it doesn't become one. And I think that was a case where Red Bulls 2 would have liked to have that free kick. It didn't turn into anything. There was a possibility. And you can see John Wolniak down here talking to the fourth official, head in his hands, rubbing his face. He cannot believe that ball wasn't pulled back for a free kick.
New York Red Bulls 2 went into the locker room up 2-1. Steven Dos Santos for the second time today got his team level. Aaron Long had a shot cleared off the line for New York. Outside of that, though, since the goal, we haven't seen clear-cut chances for either side.
No, a little bit cagey. A lot of what we saw in the first half, both teams trying to find their identity and figure out how they want to move forward. Red Bulls 2 have really been the victim of a great game plan so far from Bob Illy. He's figured out how to negate this pressure, and in fact, his team is putting on here. Valesky's been a real pest for those two center backs so far, and he's got an opportunity here.
Valesky some time in the box. He's looking for a teammate. The first cross blocked, and then Carroll gets help from Metzger, and now New York can clear. Valesky finding more of the ball here in the second half than he did throughout that first half. So we now enter the final quarter phase of this, what we expect to be regular 90 minutes. We don't know what potential stoppage time may hold.
And all it takes is one chance. One instance of Derek Etienne Jr. in behind, one chance for Valesky in the 18-yard box. We know how efficient he can be with those opportunities. At 2-2, it may be cagey now, but you just need one bad pass, one poor touch, one good through ball in behind, a good cross, and that could change the face of this game and the face of the USL playoffs for good.
New York Red Bull 2 now finally get some numbers forward, and they turn it over. Both fullbacks pinching up the field as Rochester drops into a little bit of a deeper defensive formation, but Wallfall helps them clear it out. Valesky now not really against numbers. Now New York gets some numbers back defensively, and Fall holds it up.
No reason to rush.
Forbes now gets it to the feet of Valesky. Valesky turns and shoots.
A little bit lackadaisical defending there from Red Bulls 2. You saw Metzger miss the tackle and get stuck in behind, but if the urgency from Rochester Rhinos would have been a notch higher, that could have been 3-2. Valesky getting himself in a good position. The shot just nowhere close, but he had the angle. He had an opportunity to test Ryan Meir there.
Meir has conceded 2 so far in this game, which has been quite rare for him, and it looks like just below us, Coach Wolinek's going to go to his first substitution, and I think it's the one sub we'd all expect, Stefano Bonomo, the most experienced attacking player on the bench, and he's getting ready to come on. The only question is who he will come on in place of, Andrew.
Soft feed, a big player, good finisher, Calbert. A guy that's had some injury issues at times. A little bit of a groin issue right now that comes with fatigue, Wolniak says. He probably won't be feeling that here. Expected to play 14 minutes unless this thing goes to extra time.
And he will come on for Florian Velo. So Velo, who has been in phenomenal form coming into this game, struggling a little bit against this Rochester organized defense. He comes off the field. He will register an assist in this one, but not the impact we expected, Andrew, from a guy in Velo who has been one of the better players down the stretch for this team, coming into this game with 2 goals and 7 assists.
Yeah, a guy who they've relied on to be a creator for them at times this year, and that 3 behind Brandon Allen. Just not his best game. Has been a guy that the Red Bulls have looked at in MLS in some CCL situations, but this won't be one he'll look back on fondly. Bonomo starting the game with a little bit of a foul. He'll bring some energy. They need him to run. They need him to put them under pressure. So far, the Rochester Rhinos haven't really looked harried by that vintage Red Bull 2 pressure.
Bonomo coming in, 6'2", brings a little bit more size than Velo. He's got 5 goals this season, so a second finisher besides Brandon Allen that you could see maybe as a target on the end of Bezecourt and Etienne Jr.'s creativity.
Yeah, certainly will be. Coming in on this right flank, we saw in the first half, first two goals came off of some chances against the right back. He'll come in on the right. He won't be facing that. Maybe they can turn things around and put the team under pressure on both sides. So far, it's been one-track minds as far as attacking movement for the Red Bulls, too.
Metzger now picks it up in the midfield with some space. He'll go long towards Bezecourt. Bezecourt onside, gets his first touchdown. Camden holds him up, and we'll see.
Silly foul.
A little surprising, maybe no card coming out on this one, as Bezecourt's able to earn a free kick in a dangerous area here for New York, and now Bonomo, an additional option on the end of this set piece.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for Red Bulls too, but there's absolutely no reason to commit this foul. Rochester was going to win the ball. They might have even had a little bit of a counterattack moving forward. Instead, you grab a jersey of a player who's not going to get to it, and you set up a great situation once again for Bezecourt. We saw him in this free kick situation, a very similar one. Put it right into the hands of Tomas Gomez. Cannot have that happen. You want to pull him off his line or you want to freeze him, but he's got to give an opportunity to these Red Bull 2 players to get on the end of this.
Right in front of the South Ward as the crowd makes some noise. It'll be Bezecourt to take it, trying to give New York the lead. It's floated in, it's headed down, and it'll be cleared now by Rochester. No New York player able to get on the end of it. Can Dos Santos start the counterattack the other way?
That was the ball you wanted, though.
Turned over. Metzger able to win it back. He tries to slot Allen through. Now it's Bonomo with the shot, low on the ground. It takes a deflection and will go out for a New York Red Bull 2 corner kick.
Another good opportunity. Red Bulls got the ball in the position they wanted. They had players in and around the area. Just didn't happen for them in that case. The ball didn't fall to their feet. But as I said, you just need one opportunity. One loose ball, one nice strike, one clean hit, and this game could be turned on its head.
Aaron Long had a corner kick shot cleared off the line. Bezecourt now to take. He floats it into the far post. Gomez is out. He punches it. Metzger with the follow-up opportunity. It hits a Rochester player. It's headed down by Allen and cleared.
Gomez has not inspired confidence coming off his line.
Bezecourt trying to get around Forbes. He gets to the end line, a second defender out, and Gomez is able to cover that one up. Metzger has been suffocating, keeping these second balls in, Andrew, and he set up Bezecourt here for this run down the line.
He did. A very nice move by Bezecourt to get in a position to cross. Just no near post run. A lot of static standing around from Red Bulls 2 in that situation. You start to wonder about fatigue in this game. Which team is going to have the legs, especially if it goes to extra time? A turnover there that's no fun. Okay.
Metzger.
Not the ball you wanted.
Metzger with the unforced turnover in midfield. And now Adams gets back on the ball, but like you said, 120 minutes potentially. There are 5 substitutes allowed for both teams. We mentioned Bonomo, a little bit of an injury. He'll now have to go potentially 45 minutes rather than those 14 minutes. Nike's a proud partner of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike Soccer information. Zach Carroll not happy at all as tempers flare between these two teams. We knew it was going to be intense. We've seen the calls in the past, and Zach Carroll just talked himself into a yellow card.
Indeed he did. He was not happy about that. Neither was Wallfall. That's where it's going to start to get chippy here in this midfield. Both these teams getting a little tired. You have some of those long touches that force you into challenges that you may not want to make. Zach Carroll still fired up about this one. It's not going to change the decision, though. Yellow card for the Red Bulls 2 center back.
Zach Carroll, drafted by New York Red Bulls, assigned to the MLS squad before getting cut in favor of Aurelian Collin. Went through waivers and ended up still being available as New York had hoped, signing on with this New York Red Bull 2 team. And he's been a rock throughout this season, playing both at fullback and center back for this team, a lot of times alongside Aaron Long. This now his 25th start and his 27th appearance, over 2,000 minutes for this New York Red Bull 2 team.
Second on the team in minutes. He's really taking advantage of his opportunity here. The coaching staff really likes him. They just didn't have the room on the MLS squad once they had all the injuries that they did, and they had to go to Aurelian Collin, who has been very, very good for them as they push to the top of the Eastern Conference.
Ball over the top. Etienne Jr.'s onside, and Tomas Gomez just at the last second slides in and nips that one off the foot of Etienne Jr.
That time his decision-making was perfect. A great little chip ball in over the top. You can see Derek Etienne Jr. take a glance. He sees him coming. Great timing from Tomas Gomez.
Aaron Long puts this one out safely. We are in the final 10 minutes here as these two teams are locked in at 2-2. Rochester Rhinos trying to cause the upset. New York Red Bull 2 still looking for their first ever victory against the USL original side. Bezecourt's touch is too long. It's turned over to Tergu. Tergu back to Fall. Canardo Forbes, a ton of space here on the top of the box. His shot goes over the top. These final 10 minutes, Andrew, which team's going to get tense? Which team's going to be able to push forward and maybe get a winner?
I think right now you're looking at the Rhinos having the better of the opportunities from the two. We haven't seen much of Brandon Allen in this second half. He's been pretty quiet. There's not been much service into him. And I just think right now Red Bulls 2 are a little bit over-reliant on Bezecourt and Derek Etienne Jr., two players that the Rhinos have managed to quiet down here for the last 20, 25 minutes. On the flip side, the goal-scoring prowess for the Rhinos is not going to come off of fancy passing around the box, intricate movement. It's going to be direct. It's going to be a little bit gritty at times. But I think in these final moments with both teams showing signs of fatigue, they've probably got the better bet to get this. And they've got experience doing it too. Remember, that 3-2 win in Rochester came very, very late. This is a team that will feel confident in this point of the match.
Turnover there from Carroll in a dangerous position. Sofian Tergu trying to launch the attack. Dos Santos able to shield Carroll off. And don't forget, Carroll sitting on a yellow card. Dangerous now, talking to the head official, Luis Guardia.
Guardia pointing at his head. Be smart, he's saying. You're asking for it right now. That could have been a yellow card. It could have been his second yellow and perhaps an ejection in this sense. I think a good decision, I should say, by Guardia to let that one go and give him another warning. He is walking on eggshells, so to speak, though, Carroll.
What are these two teams fighting for? A chance to stay alive and head to the USL Cup Final on October 23rd. It'll be live on ESPNU at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Rochester Rhinos were champions last year. New York Red Bull 2, regular season champions this year. They're trying to do the double, just as Rochester did last year.
And this is what Rochester want. They want to have this possession. All they need is that one ball into the head of Dos Santos Verleski. Maybe the second ball finds their feet. Maybe they clean up something ugly here. This is where they want to make their money.
And this game, it just feels like, Andrew, like it's setting up for a late Rochester Rhinos winner, as we've seen so often. Tergu now a chance to cross. It's headed away by Adams at the near post. New York Red Bull 2 haven't gone quietly in any game this season. Only 3 losses on the year, an astounding 21 victories, including double-digit wins on the road with 13. They haven't seen losses very often as Tosh gets the shot away. Could they be staring at the biggest one of all in this one-game knockout playoff?
As I said, Tosh, the guy who had that winning goal in the 3-2 victory in Rochester. A nice hit from him there, just not wide enough to get around Ryan Mira. He's going to eat those up all day long, but a really nice opportunity there. He could have gone wide. He chose to take on the shot. The pressure right now coming from the Rhinos. They've pinned Red Bulls 2 in to their own half right now.
Adams skies to win that header, and you always have the question late in games like this, Andrew, with extra time looming, are the teams going to kind of close up shop? You know, kind of say, let's move into extra time and figure this out in the next 30 minutes? Or do you continue to push, take some risks, potentially lose, but also get that winner?
I think you take some risks, especially if you're the Rhinos. The reason being they're a team that's still going to defend with 8 behind the ball most of the time. Then you see 3 players generally be the attacking force for them. You mentioned it before. Those flicks from them are consistently dangerous. They're a team that's looking for the final goal. You can see them really pushing for it. The question is, will they get caught out? Can the Red Bulls turn around and counter and push at pace? Right now, it doesn't really look like it. They don't seem to have that cutting edge.
And what a wild card to have off the bench. Asani Samuels is stripped off and ready to go. He's only got 1 goal so far this season, but his 2 goals last year, as I mentioned, a stoppage time tying goal, and then an extra time winner in the USL Cup final at 6'4". The native of Jamaica is ready to come on for Coach Lilly's side. For New York, they still have Zumana Simpara, the Malian U17 international, and then 2 academy players who are attacking subs. Omir Fernandez, who's got 1 appearance so far this year, just 1 minute, and Zach Ryan, a Stanford commitment, who's yet to make his professional soccer debut. Those 2 part of the development academy squad. But Coach Wolenek, not a lot of bullets left in the chamber.
Nope, that would be quite the introduction to professional soccer in a high-stakes match of this nature. We'll see what Wolenek goes to right now, but it's not an ideal scenario for the Red Bulls to go to extra time. If they can nick a goal, that would be a huge, huge moment for this franchise early in its existence.
New York Red Bull 2 hosted their first ever playoff game last year in the opening round against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. That was an extra time game. Carl, we met with 2 goals in extra time for a 4-2 victory. This would be their second ever extra time match. Metzger now put under pressure by Tergu, who's gotten stronger as this game's gone along. Sofian Tergu.
Played very well, done a lot of running, been dangerous when he's had the ball, makes the right passes. Is not always the guy to make the final pass, but recognizes where the ball needs to go and is clean in the delivery.
And of course, as we compliment him, his night is done. Asani Samuels is going to come on for Sofian Tergu. Tergu getting almost a full 90 in this one. And Asani Samuels, 6'5" out of Jamaica. Wouldn't want to steal an inch from him.
I think Red Bulls 2 would take an inch from him.
I think they absolutely would. They have a little bit of size on their bench too. Tim Schmoll at 6'6", Swiss center back. And Conrad Pleva standing at 6'3". And those 2 are defensive or midfield options for New York. They don't have a lot of difference makers maybe off the bench, but they have a lot of guys who are versatile and they can move this around. Coach Wolenek said he's got a lot of players who can play across the field. Fall with a great ball into the corner as we approach stoppage time here. 2-2 tie game. We are staring down extra time unless we get a dramatic winner from one of these 2 sides here in the Eastern Conference semifinals. We have a minimum of 2 minutes of stoppage time. We have just entered here at Red Bull Arena. David Goss and Andrew Wiebe on the call for you. The USL playoffs rolling along, the first match of a 4-game weekend to decide the 2 conference finals next week. Etienne Jr. brings that one down. He had the opening goal. Dos Santos with 2 equalizers so far. Does Rochester have a regular time winner in them? Valesky charging down the field with Carroll. Adams comes over to help. They make the tackle. Rochester trying to keep possession, and they eventually turn it over.
Great defensive work there by Red Bulls too. Defending with numbers, I should say. And Valesky's dangerous in those positions. No run from Dos Santos.
Ball played through. Bonomo off the bench. The shot saved by Gomez.
That was the opportunity right there. Bonomo with an incredible touch to bring it down, the ball into him. Perfectly measured. Tomas Gomez comes out, snuffs it out. That was the moment that could have turned this match. Red Bulls 2 have been quiet for most of the second half. Very nearly the winner.
About a minute and 20 seconds into this 2 minutes minimum of stoppage time here to close out regular time. Staring down a potential 30 additional minutes here As we expected, it'd be a tight one, and nothing to decide it so far, as these two teams have gone toe-to-toe for 91 minutes, and it looks like they might be doing it for an additional 30 more. New York Red Bulls 2, the regular season champions in the USL. They earned the right to host this game, while last year they had to travel to Rochester, and they almost won it here in the final minutes.
Here's that chip ball over the top. A great touch with the left foot. He gets his right, he gets it out from underneath his feet and gets the shot on goal. Just sticks out that left paw, Tomas Gomez, and keeps this one from ending.
So we are headed to extra time. Coach Wolinek's team has only lost 3 games so far this season, and the Rochester Rhinos, who have never lost to New York Red Bulls 2, are trying to continue that trend as these two teams fight for a place in the Eastern Conference Finals, the USL playoffs. Asani Samuels coming off the bench to add to the attacking force, but so far, Steven Dos Santos, Andrew, has been enough for these two teams. Let's look at the highlights. Let's see how we've gotten here. Coach Lilly's side has gone down twice, and they've yet to give up at all. The first goal they score minutes after New York opens it up, and it was Derek Etienne Jr. with the opening goal.
It was. You can see them coming out, these eager faces. Ball over the top here. Nice touch on the chest. He's on the left foot. He's on the left foot. No, he's going to go to the right foot. Comes inside. A nice shot inside that left post. Tomas Gomez not able to protect his near post here. The defending, perhaps not what you want if you're a Rochester fan, but a very, very nice finish from Derek Etienne Jr.
Etienne Jr., his first postseason goal. And then on the flip side, less than a minute and a half later, Christian Valesky sets up Dos Santos, and he equalizes for the first time in this game.
Red Bulls 2 putting their arms up. That is not offside. Dos Santos happy about that one, as he should be, but Bezecourt has been the creative fulcrum for Red Bulls 2. A nice little shot there to get saved, but who else? Brandon Allen on the doorstep. He's had a frustrating night, though, apart from this finish. Right place, right time, stretches out, a nice little sliding finish underneath the goalkeeper, but quiet for much of this match. He has not had the service he's needed, but we mentioned it. They don't stop, Rochester, and that's a great ball into the box. Dos Santos, you leave him alone like this, he's going to rise up, he's going to flick it on. Ryan Mira diving, hitting the turf, not able to keep this one out.
Ryan James, we saw get beat by Etienne Jr. for the opening goal, but credit to the team and the mentality that Coach Lilly's put together. He comes back, he has that cross for Dos Santos' goal, his 3rd assist of the season, and we see these two teams now. These two coaches, they went into the locker room, Coach Wolinek's side up 2-1, now tied 2-2. What's he telling this young team heading into their first ever professional soccer extra time environment?
Clean it up a little bit on the possession side. They're allowing opportunities because they're a little bit ragged with the ball right now, and it's both hurting them in an attacking sense, but it's also giving Rochester opportunities. Just observationally right now, if you look at Red Bulls 2, a number of players on the ground getting stretched out, getting shaken out. On the flip side, Rochester tightly knit, a very close circle. No one on the ground, no one stretching. They seem to be very, very focused. Now the Red Bulls here are huddling up, as you can see. But this is not a scenario that I think benefits the Red Bulls. A young team, a team with maybe less dangerous options on the bench to turn to if you're John Wolniak. They had their opportunities. They had their opportunity to win it there at the end. I think Rochester will feel very confident that this is their game to go out and win, especially with that defensive record, especially with their style of play. They're not going to exert any energy they don't need to, the Rhinos. Whereas the Red Bulls, that press, that pressure at this point, I think that's out the window. They probably don't have the legs to do that. So where do you get the chances? Where do you get the opportunities? Do you play for those, or do you perhaps play for penalties? We'll have to see what they go with here in the second half.
5 substitutions allowed, of course, for these two sides. 2 used so far for Rochester. Asani Samuels, one of those substitutes. Sean Tosh, the other. New York Red Bulls 2 have only used 1 sub, so they still have the potential to bring 4 sets of fresh legs into this game if they want to. Coach Wolenek, not as deep a bench as he'd like. Alex Mule, of course, who was influential for this team, not with the side. Sean Davis, who's been influential, not with the side. Junior Flemings, injured as well. Anatola Bong out on loan. So not as much available to him as he's had maybe throughout the season, but he's got a group of players who have been dominant in second halves this season. 36 goals, 0 in that second half. You'd think extra time should work well for a team that likes a little bit more space, Andrew, when maybe two teams get tired and the game opens up a little bit more.
Yeah, you're looking for maybe some mistakes if you're Red Bulls too on the Rochester side. I'm just not sure that they have the legs or have shown really the endeavor here in the last 15, 20 minutes to create those mistakes and then capitalize them. Maybe they were saving those legs. Maybe that break did them well, get a little bit of water in them, as we saw Ryan Mira trying to pump up the troops. This is going to be a high-intensity final 30 minutes on the mental side, no doubt. Perhaps not always on the physical side, but there's definitely a weight, a burden that all these players are carrying right now. Their season in the balance. 30 minutes to decide who moves on to the next round in the USL playoffs.
Bob Lilly has been to more USL championships than either of us have almost been around for. He is an experienced manager who knows settings like this like the back of his hand. An indoor coach with the Hershey Impact, Harrisburg Heat, and Pittsburgh Stingers. He went to a USL championship and lost to this Rochester Rhinos side as coach of the Hershey Wildcats. He won a Canadian championship with the Montreal Impact as well as a USL title with the Vancouver Whitecaps, and he is trying to get there for back-to-back years as his boys are out here on the field against the #1 seed on the road heading into extra time. And boy, do they look calm and composed.
Yeah, they do not look intimidated in the least, do they? This is a team that believes in themselves, and now's the time of year in which experience sometimes trumps youth and enthusiasm. We'll have to see if that's the case in this match. But I think the key for the Red Bulls, in large part, find a way to get Bonomo more involved. He has the fresh legs, and maybe Bonomo can combine with Brandon Allen. That could be huge for them. He's been so quiet this half. But we know with him, it's not about 90 minutes of continued pressure. It's that 1 or 2 moments for Brandon Allen in which he can change a game with a cultured finish. We've seen 1 so far. Does he have 2? Well, we've got about 29 minutes or so, Dave, to find out.
And something to point out, 2 players on Rochester sitting on a yellow card, but Tergu out as a substitute, so only Joe Farrell. On the flip side for New York, a lot to worry about. They have Tyler Adams, Dan Metzger, and Zach Carroll all sitting on potential second yellow cards, so they have to be safe, Andrew, and they can't get stuck in a situation like Metzger already did where he has to pull someone down from behind.
Yeah, you asked what Wolniak was talking to his players about. Certainly that's got to be one of the things. Keep your composure, make sure you don't put yourself in a bad position and perhaps get sent off. All 3 of those guys in places on the field where they may have to make a tackle. They may see a counterattack opportunity that they have to somehow snuff out. They've got to be smart about it. They cannot afford to play with 10 men the rest of the way.
New York outshot Rochester 10-4 in the first half. Rochester outshooting New York 6-5 in the second half, and I think that is a good example of how this game has gone along. Rochester getting stronger, getting more comfortable. New York getting pulled out of their game, losing, as you've said, their identity a little bit, and being flustered by this game plan by Rochester.
I mean, they've got to be frustrated about the 2 goals that they have allowed. This game could be over. This game should be over, really, especially that first goal. It's inexcusable. The Red Bulls have played well enough to win this game. They just turned off twice, allowed a free header to Dos Santos, and a quick free kick that somebody should have been standing in front of to prevent. That's going to be something that sticks in Coach Wolniak's craw. But for now, you move on past that. You have to have a short memory. It all comes down to these final minutes. 1 chance, 1 opportunity, 1 little break, 1 piece of luck. It doesn't even take something that you create. Perhaps there'll be a mistake that sets you up. We'll have to see. But Red Bulls, too, certainly will be ruining that going forward, no matter what the result is.
Metzger gets taken down by the substitute Samuels.
Such a busy game from Dan Metzger. He's been all around the ball all game long. Tyler Adams has had moments, but overall between those 2, Metzger's really taken the leadership role and put his foot on the ball, calmed this team down, and won tackles when he needed to.
Bonomo able to turn on Camden, and Camden able to recover and tackle it away.
Camden on a yellow as well. That's he's got to watch out, just like the rest of the Red Bulls 2 players here.
So it'll be a free kick here for Bezecourt.
Excuse me, he pulled the guy down over here. He didn't get the yellow, did he?
Bezecourt trying to create the first opportunity of the game. I don't know, you lost me, so I just tried to tap out for a second there, which you're not allowed to do. But no, he does not have a yellow card so far in this game. Can Bezecourt create a chance here for New York? the opening minutes of extra time in these Eastern Conference semifinals. The cross played in, it's headed away easily by Rochester at the near post. All 11 players back to defend for the Rhinos. Najem now a second bite at it. It comes down in the box. Fall puts a boot through it, and he puts it out for a throw-in.
This is where you create some of your own luck. Put the ball in dangerous positions, make Rochester defend. For much of the second half, Red Bulls 2 haven't done that.
Allen dropping deeper. Aaron Long pushing up from center back. Off that free kick, they put it into space for Bonomo. His cross cut out by Apostolopoulos, and it'll go out for a corner kick for New York. New York looking a little bit regenerated here in the opening minutes of this first extra time period.
Now, can they get the service on set pieces? It hasn't really been there tonight in consistently from chance to chance. Get it in there, let the big boys get up, maybe get a loose ball here.
Oak Street Brigade out in force right behind this corner kick as their team defends it well. They brought the signs, Soccertown USA for Rochester. One of the most storied professional franchises in this country's history. John Wolenek playing for them in 2001. One of the many players that's come through that team as Bezecourt tries to turn on Camden. And Camden's able to win it away and get it to the feet of his teammate Forbes. And then Bezecourt, frustrated, takes him down behind the play. Two young men born in France, now playing their professional soccer here in the United States.
A bemused look here from Coach Wolniak. That's an opportunity for Red Bulls, too, to perhaps put Rochester under pressure. Those are the opportunities that they're looking for, but you bailed out the Rhinos with a foul there, and they get to go long here from the dead ball.
And you have to say, based on the way this game's played out, I don't think either team's going to try and hold it down to penalty kicks. New York's a team that likes to attack at home, expects to win, and Rochester out shooting New York in that second half, knows they have every opportunity to win this game in the run of play and avoid penalty kicks.
I think it's really about avoiding mistakes at this point. You know, if you're able to create the opportunity, if you get the chance, you want to finish it, you want to be there, but you don't want to walk away from this game the loser, looking back at a mistake you made or a gaffe in a certain area of the field that you shouldn't have been messing around in and think, boy, our season came down to one play and I made that decision. It's more about limiting mistakes at this point than it is about trying to do something special. You want to get in positions to score, you want to get in positions to win the game, but you let those things come to you. Don't force it. Make sure you're not the one losing the game for your team in extra time, especially with playoff implications.
Adams and Bezecourt closing in on Fall, and the foul goes against New York. Luis Guardia, our head referee, Eric Weisborough, Victor Vasquez, and Artur Sibiga have been his assistants for this one.
And this is a good opportunity for the Rhinos. They'll take their time. They'll get the big boys in the box. They'll make sure that they're ready for any potential counterattack. And you got to mark Dos Santos. It bears repeating over and over and over. I'm surprised they didn't get Wallfall in there.
Forbes is cross played in. It's headed down. Ryan Muir rooted to his line, and he's fortunate to see that one go wide.
A great header here. Look at the ball into the box. You knew what they were going to do. The run's going toward the penalty spot. A great header, just a few feet wide. Ryan Muir rooted the ground. If that's on frame, if that's inside that post, I don't think he's getting to that one. A very good opportunity for Rochester. That's what they'll set up for the rest of this match.
New York dodges a bullet there. Rochester had a ball cleared a ball off the line in the second half, as well as Bonomo's last-minute chance that Gomez made the save on. So both these teams have had opportunities to get winners or go-ahead goals so far. Canardo Forbes now on his horse. He's got some speed. Gets it to the feet of Samuels. Samuels held up by Najem, and his cross is blocked by David Najem.
Really smart defending by Najem there. You saw he forced him to play that ball out wide and then recovered. He got it off the foot of the most dangerous attacker and then got in position to make the tackle. Denied the service, everything you could ask for from your fullback right there.
Forbes over to take this corner kick as he's taken every other set piece so far in this game, including that free kick moments ago that led to The dangerous header for Rochester. Can they do it once again? Every player for New York Red Bulls 2 is back in the box to defend. Forbes puts the cross in low at the near post. Powder lets it bounce out for a New York goal kick, and an opportunity missed there, Andrew.
Yeah, Bob Willoughby ruined that one. You have to put that ball in the mixer when you get those opportunities. Those are the type of chances, as we've seen from Rochester, that they're apt to finish. Where is all that fabric coming from right there from Zach Carroll?
The wrap is off for him.
He means business now, huh?
There are only 5 minutes left to play in this opening period of extra time, but it is white knuckles time for these two teams. Any mistake, and it could all be over. For New York Red Bulls 2, they try and continue a dream season. For Rochester Rhinos, they try and defend their USL Cup championship from last year. Both these sides a moment away from ecstasy and a moment away from agony here at Red Bull Arena.
What a matchup the USL playoffs have given us here. The defending champions, a record-setting team in Red Bulls 2 that have got exciting young players as well as some older guys that are trying to make an opportunity here. Derek Etienne Jr., one of those young players that's really trying to force his way through this defense. It's happened for him once this game, but that's not the opportunity, and that sums up Brandon Allen's night right there.
The turnover, Dos Santos is trying to get through on goal. Aaron Long's able to save it, and he puts it out of bounds off the two-goal scorer, Dos Santos. New York fortunate to be able to control that one. This ball goes out of bounds.
Got to be smart back here.
New York still only made one substitution, so they have 4 available changes. 2 academy kids on the bench, and a backup goalkeeper, a center back in Tim Schmoll, and a holding midfielder or defender in Conrad Pleva. So not a lot of venom for Coach Wolenek to put out there to try and help his team get the victory. Bonomo, the one substitute, had a golden chance to win it at the end of regular 90 minutes. Tomas Gomez stepping up with his biggest save of the game. Dos Santos trying to switch the point of attack, and he turns it over.
Huge recovery from Metzger there. The numbers forward for Rochester made that a very dangerous scenario had he not got his foot in there.
Wallfall had a goal off a set piece against Charlotte in the last game. The cousin of U.S. international Jermaine Jones. He's had a quiet game today. As they get into the box, a sliding tackle made by Carroll.
Huge play. Massive play there. Rochester pushing forward. That was an opportunity to get that goal that they need. Just a little bit better ball, maybe a little bit more patience going into the box, and that could have been 3-2.
It was Cam Dem flying into the box, and his cross blocked by Carroll. So New York coming out the opening 5 minutes aggressive. It's been all Rochester since then. Can either of these teams create something here from the run of play, or are we destined for penalty kicks?
Been a little bit surprised about the number of chances here in this first period of extra time. We didn't see much from either side other than that Bonomo chance at the end of regulation. They've opened up a little bit. They've committed a few more numbers forward than I expected them to. Perhaps that pays dividends for one of these two squads before we hit the half mark here.
A little interchange from New York trying to work their way through Rochester. We haven't seen that much this game. Bezecourt and Etienne were able to create the second goal with a good 1-2 here in this area. And Sean Tosh is able to defend it, and that's why he's in this game, although it's saved by New York. Now Metzger does some work. Can he get the cross away? It's alive in the box and cleared finally by Cam Dem. Dan Metzger continues his high work rate as he almost creates an opportunity for New York in the box as we enter the final few minutes of this opening extra time period.
This game's getting pretty stretched at this point. You can see Metzger trying to recover here. Bonomo dropping back for him. Not much midfield play at this point. It's going box to box. Both teams trying to find their legs, keep things going, get in front of the ball, make sure there's no easy opportunities.
Carroll lets this one over his head. Valesky brings it down off the chest. His shot is blocked. What a play from Aaron Long as Zach Carroll misread that chance and almost gave the go-ahead goal away to Rochester.
A season-saving play from Aaron Long. That touch from Valesky setting him up for the left foot to get in there. You see him face down on the ground. He has to be imagining, what if I wasn't able to get to that ball and help spray it out for a corner kick? And now we have a player in the middle of the field being stretched. You can see the fatigue starting to play a role.
And it looks like Camden with a little bit of cramping that James is trying to help him with. The time for Rochester to play that ball in, and then the misread from Carroll, making it dangerous. Now Forbes will take this chance. The closing minutes of this first extra time. Played over the head of everyone.
Spoke too soon.
We thought Rochester would score goals off set pieces. They did in the first half, although not how we expected on Dos Santos' chance. So from that side, I guess New York can be happy. They said they watched tape earlier in the year. They prepared for set pieces for this Rochester team. Coach Wolenak has to be happy with the way they've handled that.
Yeah, he does. And as I said, he knew he was going to have to get a little bit creative because the matchups did not go Red Bull's way. But I think they've also benefited, as have the Rhinos, from some poor set-piece service at times. Not really putting goalkeepers, defenders under pressure in some instances, that one included. You have to have a back post run there if you're Rochester. This team's too organized, too good from set pieces to leave that space open and not have someone attack it, especially in the late going just before the end of this first extra time period.
Adams trying to get into the attack, and that pass just too long for him.
He'll be a little bit frustrated with his play tonight, I think. A little bit loose in possession, more so than he is normally. Of course, the work rate, superior, stellar. He's around the ball at all times, and athleticism is not to be questioned. But he's had a few rough moments. This is a nice one from him, though.
He tries to beat the defender. Camden does expertly to shield him off the ball, and it goes out for a Rochester goal kick.
Those young legs finding energy from somewhere, anywhere late in this game.
And that is it for the opening period of extra time here at Red Bull Arena. New York Red Bulls 2 locked in with the 2015 USL Cup champions, Rochester Rhinos at 2-2. It was an opening goal by Derek Etienne Jr. At this point, Andrew, a long time ago in the 20th minute, a gorgeous goal from him. But Etienne Jr., Bezecourt, Velo, Bonomo coming off the bench, Brandon Allen just haven't had the looks that the all-time record goal-scoring team would like to have created here at home.
And yet they're still tied 2-2. They've found the net twice. As I said, it's those defensive lapses that have Red Bulls 2 in the position that they're in. The Rhinos, opportunistic, pragmatic, resilient, able to come back from two deficits. Now it's 15 minutes to decide this. Through the speakers here at Red Bull Arena, lean on me coming through, and I think both teams feeling that one. You got to turn to the guy next to you and know that he's going to do the job along with you. Make sure you have 15 more minutes in those legs. Your season coming down to just a small period of time. It's all about this. It doesn't matter if you're Red Bulls 2 and you had a record-breaking season. It doesn't matter if you're Rochester and you're the defending champions. This is it. This is money time. This is the time to decide whether you keep going, whether you keep that trophy chase alive, or whether tomorrow you wake up and think about what could have gone right instead of what went wrong.
Only 2 years in existence for New York Red Bull 2. This is already the 8th matchup against the Rochester Rhinos. Yet to have a victory. This is only the 3rd time they've ever even scored in a game, knocked out of the playoffs at this exact same stage just 1 year ago up in Rochester at Sallin Stadium, 2-0. But now a chance at home. 15 minutes left to play in front of their fans on their field, tied at 2-2. Can anyone make themselves the hero? Last year in extra time, it was Carl we met here at home in the opening round of the playoffs. Who will step up between these two teams here today?
Red Bulls 2 players warming up there behind the end line. Have yet to see them, as you said, go to that bench again. I wonder if in these last 15 minutes that's in the cards.
And Ibrahim Sakagia, the assistant coach, heading down to chat with those players. We mentioned it. You've got 2 academy players down there on the bench. You risk the chance, Andrew, of bringing them in, having them take a penalty kick for you in a USL Eastern Conference semifinals for 2 kids that are just juniors in high school.
Forget the penalty kick. There's still 15 minutes to play. You risk them having a very traumatic scenario in which perhaps they're at fault in a game that where it's all at stake here. It looks like we may have a substitution, though.
Yeah, it looks like Zumana Simpara, the young Malian player, is getting ready to come on, and potentially Conrad Pleva as well, a player that you'd expect to come on, a steady player in Pleva who's got experience as a professional, experience in the USL playoffs last year. But the question always has to come in moments like this. Every coach, and I asked both of them before the game, as you head towards extra time, you are thinking about penalty kicks, and you're thinking about who you want out there on the field and who are your penalty kick takers. And sometimes it doesn't align with who's best to get you the victory in the run of play, and these coaches have to make those big decisions.
This is where they make their money, that tactical awareness during the match, knowing what sort of physical conditions your players are in, what they can endure. You go to these last 15 minutes. What's the right timing to make a change if you do make a change?
Samuels with the header down. His first look of the game. Mira able to get two hands on it before Dos Santos' sliding foot.
Unhappy, thought he was pulled down there. Here's the replay. We'll see if there's anything in those calls from Dos Santos. A late runner into the box. Here's that ball to the back post, headed down. Maybe a little bit of a tug. Certainly not enough in my book to get the penalty call at this stage in the game.
And no matter how this result goes, Andrew, you got to tip your cap to what Bob Lilly's done today. Brought his team here. He said they wouldn't be intimidated. He said they didn't talk about being an underdog. It didn't matter to them. But the game plan for him has been perfect. 2-2 on the road against a team that has blown teams away over the course of the last 2.5 months. And he's got his team in a position to win and move on to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I'm sure Bob would say, yeah, well, they haven't blown us away, and they certainly aren't going to in this match. Bonobo going down there, maybe looking for a call. Look, Rochester wasn't going to be intimidated by this team. They have the success. After all, they're the defending champions, and while they may not have been as explosive or they may not have racked up the wins at the same pace that Red Bulls 2 did, they were still at the top of the Eastern Conference. They still pushed into this match with a dominating 3-1 victory. From the start, they felt confident. From the start, we saw that confidence manifest itself on the field. There's not too many teams, if any, in 2016 who have taken Red Bulls 2 outside of their comfort zone. They certainly have in this match, and there's a good chance it'll see them move on.
Just one penalty kick shootout so far in the USL playoffs. The underdog, or Orange County Blues, with a 5-4 penalty kick shootout win over Sacramento Republic in the Western Conference. These two teams trying to avoid ending up in a similar situation. And a corner kick coming here for Rochester. They're taking their time to head down there, but 6'4" Dos Santos, 6'5" Asani Samuels, Vasily Apostolopoulos, Joe Farrell, Sean Tosh, Wallfall, all in the box, trying to get that go-ahead goal for the Rhinos. Forbes with the service. It's alive in the box still. The shot comes in, and Ryan Mira pokes it over.
Acrobatic play there. Looks like Valesky getting on the end of this one. Who else? Not necessarily a bike here, not a scissor kick, but he finds a way to put this on frame. Ryan Mira right there to tip it over. But now they have to deal with another dangerous situation. The service was good on that play.
Second cross comes in, alive in the box, and it's headed in. Rochester Rhinos in the second period of extra time. Wallfall gets his second goal of the postseason, and the Rhinos take the lead for the first time tonight.
We talked about it over and over and over. Set pieces, set pieces, set pieces. Unmarked, completely unmarked. That's unacceptable. A free header for Wallfall, and he does what you expect him to do with it. He puts it on frame with pace. Ryan Mira will be upset he wasn't able to keep that one out, but a difficult save to make, and you can see the joy on his face. They feel as though that's likely to be the winner. Wallfall, what a goal from him. 3-2, Rochester.
And now Wolenek has to roll the dice. Conrad Pleva coming on for David Najem, and Vincent Bezecourt's day is done as Zumana Simpara comes on in his place. Wallfall scored the opening goal against Charlotte, and he gets the third goal, in this game for his team, and we had just talked about how Coach Wolenek had to be happy with the set-piece defending for New York, and as you said, a wide-open header in the box.
All it takes is one. That's all Rochester needed, was that one opportunity, the right timing, the right service, the right run, the right finish, and they got it all from Wallfall in that scenario. The younger cousin of Jermaine Jones, who might just be watching this game. What a finish from him. What a postseason from him so far. 3-2 Rochester. They are in command right now. Red Bulls 2, they've got to push. They've got to throw caution to the wind. Their season on the brink right now. Such a good campaign coming down to perhaps that one play in extra time. But if they lose this game, as I said, and I don't want to be a broken record here, they'll look back at that first goal. The naive play, the naive defending there, allowing an opportunity where there never should have been one. That was the turning point for the match after they had grabbed the momentum early on.
And something you don't see every day is Sonny Samuels coming on as a second-half substitute, now coming off once again as he gets subbed out. Dominic Samuel, the fullback, subs into the game, and it looks like the second substitution is going to be assistant coach George Kyriazis.
What a story.
Out of Greece, 37 years old, signed about a month ago. He's an assistant coach for Bob Lilly. He said, if you need me to play, I can play. He signed up. Coach Lilly says he jumps in when we need extra numbers in practice. So he had some level of fitness. He started 2 games. He came on as a sub against Charlotte. And as we expect to see again in this one, he'll move into what will look a lot like a 5-man backline over these final 10 or so minutes of this game.
Similar to what they saw against Charlotte late on in that earlier playoff game for Rochester. He doesn't need that much finish, though, Dave. He just needs 8 minutes. They just got to close this one out, and you figure communication-wise, he'll be back there. He knows the job he needs to do. He's sitting right in the back of what looks to be a 5-man back line here. This is going to be a tough scenario for Red Bulls 2 to break down with their level of fatigue and where they've been the entire game when it comes to chance creation.
Kyriazis, a native of Greece, helped Coach Lilly find Vasily Apostolopoulos as well. The other center back he plays alongside. And the Rochester Rhinos are looking to continue their run as USL Cup champions and remain on that throne for at least one more game if they can hang on here. Zach Carroll able to body off and win that tackle. It looks like it was Camden pushing forward. No call made. And the assistant coach making the interception there as the ball is cleared out. Everyone on their feet on the Rhino sideline.
No nonsense from Rochester. They're not playing around at this point. Get the ball out of danger. Cut it out. No reason to get fancy. No reason to try to possess. If you get the ball in the opposing half of the field, just go to the corner. Waste some time.
Etienne Jr. is able to win a corner kick for New York. Can New York answer? Rochester's done it twice so far today. It was an opening goal from this young man, Etienne Jr. in the 20th minute. Less than 2 minutes later, Rochester answered with one of their own. A goal just before halftime for Brandon Allen. Rochester now leading 3-2. New York puts the header in. It's cleared away. Powder, the only player outside the box on the field. A second ball, it's headed away. Can New York Red Bulls 2 find an opening? Noah Powder floats one in. It's headed away by Kyriazis. Brandon Allen now trying to guide it out in front of Dominic Samuel. He does. He's got 1 goal so far today, Allen. 17 on the season. Does he have one more in him? Simpara flicks it on. Metzger looking for Long, who falls down. The crowd wants a call, but no contact there. And as you'd expect, Tomas Gomez is going to be in no rush to get rid of that ball over these final 5 minutes of this extra time period.
That's where the chances are going to come from for the Red Bulls too, though, the rest of the way. They're not going to open up Rochester in open play. You're going to have to find ways to get the ball in the box, get in the mixer, win the first ball, or make it hard for them to clear. Hope something falls to you. Hope somebody has a little bit of magic in tight space to get the tying goal here.
Pleva brings it down. Looks like Aaron Long's going to play center forward for the rest of this game. Simpara finding Pleva. Pleva now with plenty of time to try and find a teammate. He looks for it on the ground. May not have been the wisest idea, and the foul called against New York Red Bulls too. So Rochester, another chance to breathe here.
Referee helping up the Rochester player. I think he would have liked to lay on the ground a little bit longer. Every second that ticks off is a good second for the Rochester Rhinos. They'll feel they're in good position. If they don't finish this off, I'll be shocked with the level of experience on this team, where they've been before. 3-2 against Red Bulls 2 is a familiar scoreline. No surprise, it looks like Bob Lilly would go to his bench again, maybe bleed a few more minutes off that clock.
This free kick taken long, handled easily. It looks like Gasu is the player who's going to get ready to come on. Simpara now has been active since coming off the bench here in extra time. Powder clips a ball in. Aaron Long gets under it, but Farrell's the one who wins it. Now Etienne Jr. He'll play it into the path of Pleva just off the bench. His cross is blocked, and it'll go out for a throw-in.
An opportunity there to get the ball in. Very good defensive work by Rochester.
Long throw in towards Bonomo. He wins the first header. Metzger now wins the second. Knocked away. Etienne Jr. with the volley, and he screws that one wide of the goal.
Head in his hands. An opportunity to test something. Maybe get a deflection. That's all you're looking for. Just a lucky bounce, something, anything, something to put Tomas Gomez under pressure. This gives them an opportunity not only to get the free kick downfield and maybe win that first ball, second ball, get into the corner, but also make the substitution. We'll see how much extra time gets added to this.
So Gasu is the man coming on, a late season addition to Rochester, and he comes on in place of maybe the best player on the field today in Conardo Forbes. He's taken the set pieces, he's pulled the strings, he's helped set up everything that's gone right for Rochester.
Yeah, he's been the heartbeat of this team in the central midfield. As we said, he's not always the final ball, but he's the guy that sets it up, and he seemed to be around it all night long. So many of those second balls picked up by him. You can see the affection there from Bob Lilly.
The Rochester Rhinos sitting just minutes away from a road extra time winner here at New York Red Bulls 2. It's Wall Fall right now with the go-ahead goal. Etienne Jr. is able to flick it on. A chance for New York maybe here. Metzger gets into the box, and LaGuardia points to the spot. A penalty kick coming here in the final minutes for New York Red Bulls 2. And who else, Andrew, but Dan Metzger, who earns it for his team.
Well played on this. Wow. I mean, this game, so much drama. You can see the anger from Rochester Rhinos. We'll see a replay here, I'm sure. But they don't agree. I think it's the right call. A clumsy challenge coming in on that play there. Oh, head in hands. The drama here. Incredible. Ball going to the spot. Let's see who'll take it. I can't imagine it'll be anybody but Brandon Allen. Indeed, he's stepping to the spot. This is a huge moment, a massive moment. We thought this game was over.
Brandon Allen with 3 penalty kicks over the course of the final 5 games of the regular season, but none bigger than this.
This may not be the last penalty kick we see, not to put more pressure on Brandon Allen.
118th minute here. New York Red Bulls 2 trying to keep their dream season alive. It's Georgetown Hoya versus Georgetown Hoya. Brandon Allen steps up on the penalty kick and puts it home, and the crowd goes wild. New York Red Bulls 2 tie it up with minutes left to go in extra time here against the Rochester Rhinos.
What a moment for Red Bulls 2. Incredible. The bench down there celebrating. You can see all across the stadium, everyone with a smile on their face. This is drama. This is the USL playoffs. This is why we're here. This is why we are watching. You said it, Georgetown Hoya on Georgetown Hoya. I'm sure that they've done that before. Here's that penalty call. Oh, the assistant coach gets caught in possession. A nice little slip ball through. Great touch. Oh, and a little bit of a pull there. You saw, gets his legs entangled, and Brandon Allen does what he does. Look at that steely glare. Right down the middle. 3-3, Red Bulls 2, right back in it.
He hasn't had a lot of touches. He hasn't at times been a difference maker, but he's got 2 goals today, exactly what his team needed. And Brandon Allen at the final buzzer gives his team hope. Tim Schmoll now coming on in place of Zach Carroll. Zach Carroll, 119 minutes of yeoman work at center back, battling with Valetsky and Dos Santos. And now Schmoll, 6'6" out of Harvard University, comes on for a final minute or 2 of action, and then penalty kicks if we get there.
I said it. You don't want to be the player that makes a mistake or has that moment that costs your team in these high-stakes scenarios. I got to tell you, there wasn't too much danger there. A left-footed shot running into the box. I'm not sure that was an instance to pull somebody down, but Red Bulls 2 will take it, and now they got to hold on.
Kyriazis down to chest it. Aaron Long now moving back from center forward. His little time there done as we enter a minimum of 3 minutes of stoppage time here at Red Bull Arena. And Schmoll and Long are going forward for this one. New York's going to roll the dice and see if they can get a winner.
Be cautious. Don't get too excited. Dos Santos trying to get a yellow card here. The second time he's throwing the ball back.
Now, Luis Guardia, our head official, agrees with Dos Santos. The position of the free kick is incorrect. Adams and Powder 2 times trying to take it from farther forward, and Adams throws it ahead of the midfield line once again. And now New York Red Bull 2 will finally get to take it here. A minute into extra time, stoppage time. Long goes up to try and head it, and a foul called against Brandon Allen on the top of the box. And Etienne Jr. in no rush to turn this one over. What a game. A 1-0 lead for New York. Rochester Rhinos tied it up within minutes. A late first half goal. An extra time equalizer and an extra time go-ahead goal, for Rochester, and then a late equalizer for New York Red Bulls too.
And they got to be careful here. That long ball into the box, saw Schmoll get his arms around him. He might have got a foul called him there, and that is not, you do not want to give an opportunity to the Rochester Rhinos from a free kick situation anywhere in and around the box. They've already shown that they have the capability to take advantage of those. We've got a heaping helping of drama here, Dave, and I have a feeling we may get some more should this thing go to penalty kicks.
Coach Lilly's got about everyone he could yell at right now on that bench. He thought he was a minute or two away from a second straight Eastern Conference Finals trip. As we enter the second minute of stoppage time, a minimum of 3 here at Red Bull Arena. What a first game it's been of this semifinal round in the USL playoffs. There's 3 more games to go this weekend, but we got plenty more to come here from Red Bull Arena. David Goss and Andrew Wiebe with you on the call. Doesn't seem like we're going anywhere anytime soon here. Another free kick coming for New York. They push everyone forward.
I hope you didn't make plans tonight, Dave. I didn't. I knew I was in for something here.
This is the plan right here. Can New York Red Bull 2 come back from a goal down in extra time to get the winner? Tyler Adams floats it in. A battle on the far post, and Aaron Long called for the foul, pulling down Wallfall.
Not a bad result for Red Bulls 2 there. Yeah, your attacking set piece gets cut short, but you're able to shape up, get back, make sure you're behind the ball, and there are the whistles. Rochester not happy. They're giving the referee an earful right now, but on that brief replay we saw, it looked like a legitimate penalty to me. Now we go to the spot.
So New York Red Bull 2, for the first time in their history, will head to a penalty kick shootout here in the Eastern Conference semifinals. The USL YouTube channel. Vasily Apostolopoulos wearing that captain's armband for his team, and it looked like Rochester was out of the woods. 119th minute penalty kick equalizer. Mentally, how do they get themselves back going for this penalty kick shootout?
Well, now it's just about 1 strike of the ball per player. You pick your 5, you hope it's over at that point.
And let's look at how we got here. New York Red Bull 2, the opening goal, Etienne Jr. And while it's been a while since then, Andrew, it's been an up-and-down game between these two.
It certainly has. Every time we see this play, I can't imagine what's going through John Wolniak's head when he sees that goal. This is a nice little interchange, one of the best of the game for the Red Bulls too. Brandon Allen doing what he does, cleaning it up on the doorstep. Once again, a free header for Dos Santos. He's going to put that ball in the back of the net, and he does. And look here, the movement from Wallfall. He dekes, he dunks, he gets in position, a powerful header that Mira cannot keep out. Watch, he's all alone here. He doesn't even have to jump for this ball. Great service into the 6-yard box there for Wallfall. And here it is. Oh, I'm not sure. That's a tough one to see there. It appeared to be a pull on Metzger before it happened. Samuel does not agree, but the finish, there's no doubt there. Right down the middle, bulges the back of the net. Tomas Gomez cannot stop his college teammate. And there we are, 3-3, going to penalty kicks.
And you got to think for Coach Lilly. He made a couple subs in that extra time to burn a couple seconds, one of the guys coming off Canardo Forbes, you have to think that he'd be one of the players who'd be taking a penalty kick right now. So Rochester maybe down one of their go-to kickers as they head. These two teams will hand in their shooting starting 5. Best of 5 will win. If we are still tied at that point, we will go to sudden death head-to-head penalty kicks. And little surprise, we are headed back to the South Ward for this shootout here at Red Bull Arena. What a night it has been. These two teams facing off in the exact same round last year up at Salin Stadium in Rochester. New York Red Bull 2 falling 2-0, now tied 3-3.
The question for both coaches, which of their players have the legs, have the confidence, have the belief that they will step up and put this ball in the back of the net? I'm looking around Red Bull Arena right now. The fans are migrating down here to the South Ward. They want to be in position to see this thing from the very best possible angle. Red Bulls 2 fans, I should say, starting to sing. You can see the Rhinos here. Focus, focus, focus. Assistant coach comes onto the field. The moment of truth, it gets poked through. He can't hold on to the ball. He's going to be ruined that moment for a while.
But massive for Rochester. They will shoot first. They will have the chance to set the table, and the man who gave them the lead in extra time, Wallfall, will step up for the opening shot of this penalty kick shootout to decide which team will move on to the Eastern Conference Finals and which team's season will end. The 24-year-old out of Frankfurt, Germany, last playing in Austria. He's got 1 goal today. He had 1 goal last week, and he steps up for the opening shot here against Ryan Mira. Fall to get us started, and he slots it home.
Very good penalty. The stutter step gets Ryan Mira going to his right, slots it home. No worries there. You saw Wallfall go and set up for that PK way before Ryan Mira got in the net. He was ready. He knew what he wanted to do. He went out there and did it. 1-0 Rochester.
Now Aaron Long will step up for New York. 2 goals last week in the win over OCB. He's been loaned to New York Red Bulls first team for the close of the season. He's one of the most experienced players on this team. Can he match Fall? Aaron Long for the opening New York Red Bull 2 shot. And he slots his chance right down the middle. And we are tied 1-1 through the opening round.
A little bit cheeky there from Aaron Long. A little bit of a chip. You saw him with a little celebration. They must have had faith. To put a center back up there for the first shot, must have had faith. Aaron Long repays it.
You expect no less. Now, Bob Lilly goes center back for center back. It'll be Joe Farrell, the LaSalle man. He was captain of his team under his dad throughout college, his first year in professional soccer. The long run up for Farrell. The right-footed shot, and it's under the arm of Mira and in. 2-1 lead now for Rochester.
With the straight approach, you know that he's going to go power. You figure maybe up the middle, Ryan Mira thinking about all of this as he approaches the ball, but a very, very composed, strong penalty from Farrell there. That's straight out of the handbook.
And now Etienne Jr. steps up. He's got 1 goal already tonight. It's been a special year. He's about to head out for his international debut with the Haitian national team. 6 goals and 6 assists on the year. And can he even this up for his team? Derek Etienne Jr., he slides to the side. The slow run up. Gomez doesn't bite, and Etienne Jr. slots it home.
Didn't stop in his run up. That's what Tomas Gomez is asking for, saying, hey, did he stop in that? He did not. He kept his momentum going forward, picked out his spot. A nice penalty there from the youngster.
We've been perfect so far through 4 shots. Vasily Apostolopoulos, the other center back for Bob Lilly, steps up. He had the game-winning goal last year against Louisville in the Eastern Conference Finals. Can he come through in the clutch here in penalty kicks? Apostolopoulos versus Mira. Apostolopoulos with the slow walk-up, and he slots it home. Calm and composed.
Well done. The pause right before he strikes the ball, gets his head up, sees Ryan Mira go to his right, and then it's an easy finish.
And here come the mind games. Brandon Allen now, his 2nd shot of the day. Does he go the same way? Does he change it? Andrew, this This is a tough shot.
I don't think you change up your normal strategy. You force the other guy to deal with it, put in a place where he's not. You saw on the previous penalty, he forced him to go down and then went right down the middle. We'll see what happens. These two very familiar with each other, though.
Allen just minutes after tying it up at the end of extra time from the spot, gets his second shot and puts it home once again. He pounds it to the right side, and we are tied 3-3.
Changed it up a little bit. Boy, these Red Bulls, too, in Rochester must have been practicing PKs leading up to this game because there's been some real quality. It's not always about placement. Sometimes it's about getting the goalkeeper to make the move before you make your move. And if he's going one way and you know you can go the other way, you don't have to put it in the corner. And that's what we've seen a couple times from these two teams. Very well taken, very composed, no nerves jangling, but 3 for 3 on both sides. Which goalkeeper can come up with a big play?
Dos Santos has answered the bell twice with 2 goals today. He steps up to the spot. He blasts it over.
The short run up got him. He was in a hurry. It felt like he was in a hurry on this one, and he doesn't allow himself time to breathe, and he puts it over, and that's a massive momentum change in this penalty kick shootout. And Dan Metzger walking up to the spot.
Who else?
Who else?
The way this game has played out, he has been everywhere for this team. He earned the penalty kick just to get his team to this spot. A record-setting year for New York Red Bull 2 in the regular season. It looked like it may be over, and now Dan Metzger the chance to go to the spot and give his team the lead here in the penalty kick shootout. It'll be Metzger versus Gomez. Dan Metzger steps up, and he chips it into the corner.
Well played from Dan Metzger. Pumps his fist. He did his job right there. Got the goalkeeper moving, put it in a place where I don't think Gomez gets it, even if he guesses right. But you feel for Dos Santos in this moment. Such a great game for him. It looked as if he played through a little bit of a knock. Was the driving force for the Rhinos. And as he walked back to midfield, his teammates came out to comfort him. Not a good moment for him, but still an opportunity. Assistant coach looking to make up for his a little bit of a gaffe here.
36 years old, George Kyriazis, signed just a month ago from the assistant coaching position. The game now on his shoulders. He needs to score to keep his team alive. He steps up and he puts it in.
A little bit of a skip approaching the ball. It looked like he was a little bit off in his timing. Gets it done, makes up perhaps a little bit for getting stuck in possession there and setting up the penalty that tied this match late on. But now the pressure's on, Dave. It all comes down to this.
Conrad Pleva, the all-time leader in minutes played for New York Red Bull 2, a New Jersey high school kid, a Red Bull Academy player at a Seton Hall University. He's had his ups and downs this year. What a moment it could be. The chance to step to the line and send the regular season champions to the Eastern Conference Finals. Conrad Pleva against Tomas Gomez here at Red Bull Arena. And Pleva puts it in and runs to the South Ward as New York Red Bull 2 win the game and move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. A perfect 5 for 5 in penalty kicks, and the regular season champions are still alive.
The Rhinos stunned, but what a victory for the Red Bulls, celebrating with their fans. The South Ward trying to pull Brandon Allen into the stands. Ryan Meir didn't have to make a save in this penalty kick shootout, but they get it done. 5-4. What an incredible match. What incredible drama to finish this up. Good thing Ibrahim Sakagi didn't take one of these penalties because he ran up on that loose ball and kicked it right over the goal in the midst of that celebration. Incredible stuff here at Red Bull Arena. This is just the start here in the USL playoffs. If this is a hint of what's to come, wow, just wow.
No TOT there in the South Ward. New York Red Bulls 2. They go up 1-0. Dos Santos pulls back Rochester. Brandon Allen with the goal in the closing minutes of the first half. And Dos Santos pulls Rochester even. In extra time, it was Wall Fall with the header off the corner kick to give Rochester a lead. 3-2. And who else? Dan Metzger draws the penalty kick, and Brandon Allen in the 119th minute saves his team from a loss, and they move on to penalty kicks where New York Red Bull 2 take a 5-4 win.
Derek Etienne Jr., wow, what a goal to start this off, and he's celebrating in the South Ward along with Tyler Adams. 2 homegrown kids in there celebrating with the fans that they used to be back in the day. But Dan Metzger went, kissed his hand, touched it to the crossbar. The reason being, Conrad Pleva's penalty kissed off the top of that crossbar. A matter of inches. The game is so cruel, and I'm sure that that's what the Rochester Rhinos are feeling right now. Tomas Gomez, unlucky.
So New York Red Bull 2 will move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. They will host the Eastern Conference Finals here at Red Bull Arena next week, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Go to NewYorkRedBulls.com for tickets. It'll be a doubleheader with New York Red Bulls and Columbus Crew SC. And what a story, Andrew. One of the most entertaining teams in the country to watch right now. Over 60 goals in the regular season, and then a thriller like this in the playoffs. 3-3 to knock off the USL Cup defending champions. Coach Wolinek's boys gotta be excited.
Wow, just a huge sigh of release for them. Some iffy moments from Red Bulls too in this game. They've been so dominant all season long, and let's take a look at the match highlights here. We start, of course, what else? Derek Etienne Jr. here with a nifty little move to get back to his right foot. A nice bobble sets it up for him. Bam, goal, starts it off. What are you thinking, Red Bulls 2? It wasn't to matter in the end. That could have been the moment they looked back on with real regret. Brandon Allen, of course, cleaning up here on the doorstep. This and the penalty, 2 goals, 2 massive goals to help his team move on. Dos Santos, here's his second goal. You also saw him in that shot behind Coach John Wolniak with his head in his hands. They thought they had the winner, the Rochester Rhinos. The free header for Wall Fall late in extra time. This was it, they said. 3-2, we know this scoreline. We've had this before against New York. We are going on. We're going to defend our USL championship. It was not to be. The penalty call laid on Dan Metzger. Who else? Gets in the box, gets pulled down. Samuel didn't like it. Doesn't matter. Brandon Allen finishes, and then it goes to PKs. He did it twice, Brandon Allen. Beat his teammate twice. Clutch finishes from him from the spot. He's done that for much of the second half of the season.
Brandon Allen, his 18th goal of the season, 3rd of this USL playoffs, and Conrad Pleva. He had a stroke after a Richmond Kickers away game earlier this year. He gets himself back, a true part of the Red Bull family, and he scores the winner, and the crowd and the team goes wild as New York Red Bulls 2 Dream Season will continue next week here at Red Bull Arena. And if we've learned anything from this game, Andrew, you want to be here. This team is something to watch. It's never boring. Dax McCarty and Bradley Wright Phillips were here today. Make sure you're here next week, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be on the USL YouTube channel as this team fights for a place in the USL Cup Final on October 23rd on ESPNU at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. For our director, Paul Hawkins, for Andrew Wiebe, myself, David Goss, and everyone else here at New York Red Bulls and the USL, thank you so much for watching, and have a good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.